Ready?
Clear.
It's time for a live stream.
You are privileged AF.
It's important to remember that.
It's okay to cry.
And it's also common to experience
deep belly laughs.
Hi, I'm Kia.
Why does this sound cold every second?
If you like jokes about scams, spirituality, and toxic positivity,
It's so quantum.
This is actually legit.
it's time to tune into...
The mango frequency.
Wait, what?
So let's dive right in.
Got my celery juice right here.
I am not emotionally stable.
Hi! Hello, welcome. Okay, you're gonna have to give me some signals if I sound crazy and if I sound normal. Because I don't have my legit setup today. You know why? Because I've been held hostage in a different home and they only gave me the Yeti mic. This hostage situation is unacceptable. They only have Yetis here. They're not letting me podcast. They're not letting me live stream here. Send help. Send forces. Welcome to the show. Okay, so where have I been? On a break. As per usual. I think at the last live stream at the end, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to start coming back more consistently. And here we are, 20 days later. But if you didn't know, because how would you ever know? Because I didn't tell anybody. I'm actually babysitting. I'm not babysitting. Well, kind of. I'm dog sitting. When the dog has become my baby in so many ways. I'm dog sitting right now for my friend out of town. So I am like mobile. And I've been here I'm going to be here for 2 weeks tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow will make 2 weeks today. I flew in 2 weeks ago. So I've been doing remote work from here. It's been great. I don't know if I want to say where I am just in case the crazies come out, but I will say I'm in the state of Alabama. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I'm in the state of Alabama. Puppy, would you like to come and say hello? Come here. His name is Cooper. He is a cutie patootie. Come on. The people want to see you. Okay, he'll come over later. Tara's at home being babysat by someone else. So, there you go. Tara's happy, healthy, living her best life at home, as per usual, with her dad, her paternal babysitter. So today I figured let's just have some fun. Let's watch Joe Rogan. Oh my God. Honestly, also, I need to admit this right off the top. I used to unironically like Joe Rogan. Oh, welcome. McTiffy. Welcome. Because, okay, and here's my reasoning. And I've since changed that, okay, just for the record. I no longer like him. But I used to like him because he was like one of the first people that I came across that would do a long podcast. And I have just been dying to talk for hours and hours and hours at that time when he was doing this. And I was like, finally, someone has forged the way for me to be able to yap on a microphone for 4 hours straight and give me permission to do so. And so I was very impressed by his ability to maintain a audience for 3 hours. Because back when he started, it was kind of like, you gotta be short and choppy. People don't have an attention span. They're on Facebook every day. They can only listen to something for 30 seconds. And then he was having 3-hour conversations with like random people, and it caught on, and I was very impressed by that. But then ever since 2020, I just could not stand by it any longer, and I stopped watching. And also, I don't even know when he had Alex Jones on, but that really disturbed me quite a bit. Having Alex Jones unfiltered and basically giving him like a free platform to just spew his garbage everywhere. And that was like much after the Sandy Hook stuff had happened, and they'd already brought the lawsuit against Alex Jones for claiming that all the Sandy Hook victims, the children and their families, were all actors. So yeah, not the biggest fan of that. But in this case, I think it's interesting, and it crosses over into the territory of the channel, which is an actor, Terrence Howard, who, in my humble opinion, I remember him. If you don't know who this is, who Terrence Howard is, you're about to. Okay, here he is. He's got great eyes. He's got the wait. I have to pull it up. There he is. So handsome. This is Terrence Howard. So he's got the Jay Shetty effect. He's an attractive man with just beaming, beautiful, like green or gray eyes. I don't know what they are, but they're very beautiful, and therefore he deserves a platform with no critique. But he's an actor. I remember him from Big Mama's House. Okay, that's because he was like the villain in Big Mama's House, I think, unless that's someone else, but I'm pretty sure he was the guy that the niece of Big Mama was escaping from. So he's been in other things. There's some controversies with his acting career. Actually, this guy is full of controversies, to be quite honest. He was in Iron Man, the first one, and then made a big stink about it, apparently, or he was the highest paid person on Iron Man at one point, and then when Robert Downey Jr. and him got into some sort of issue with money, and then so Terrence Howard quit and they hired Don Cheadle instead. He took over. Everyone was happy except for Terrence Howard. So that's a little background, and I read his wiki, as you can see, and this guy's had a pretty crazy life, which is sort of how this all usually happens when you end up becoming this way. And this way is, I believe, like, and I'm no psychologist, if you can imagine, or psychiatrist, or able to diagnose anyone with anything, but I would say, just based on my observation, you know, as what I think a narcissist, like a clinical narcissistic personality disorder person, like, he's got it, in my opinion. Now, I have no basis for that other than this interview we're about to watch on Joe Rogan, and about 40 different reasons that you'll see right off the top, as he's special, he's brighter than everyone else in the whole world that's ever lived, he's got all these, you know, special patents and degrees that aren't real, and that he can remember being in the womb, other people can't, and he also is on a parasite cleanse. So he is like the walking Instagram feed that is on my current feed right now. He is like the embodiment of it in an actor. But I want to talk about his background just before we get started, just to give you a little, almost to like, let's feel sorry for him for a second, because he's about to say some crazy, weird stuff. But he's been in, so he's, I don't know how old he is, but he was born in 1969, so you do the math. He's an American actor. Okay, he was in Dead Presidents and Mr. Holland's Opus, and then he was nominated for an Oscar for his role in Hustle and Flow. So he's an Oscar-nominated actor. He's been in a bunch of, oh yeah, Big Mama's House. Okay, he was. Thank you. I'm glad that he was, that was him. He's been, you know, done music. Okay, yada yada yada. Okay, this is the interesting part. All right, so have you ever heard of the Santa line slaying? Well, if you haven't, you're about to. So you know the scene in Elf when, you know, Will Ferrell's like, or Buddy is like, Santa! And then they get into a fist fight. Well, imagine that in real life, but more horrific and horrible and a sad outcome. But imagine that scene at a busy, you know, where were they at in the movie? You better go, what did they say? You better go to Gimbel's. So imagine Gimbel's department store, and this is what happened. So Howard was born in Chicago, Illinois, to Tyrone and Anita, that's his parents, who are both of African and English ancestry. His great-grandmother was an actress, okay, so therefore now got into the acting game. Howard was raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and he endured beatings from his physically abusive father, and saw his father, okay, this is the part about Santa, he saw his father stabbing another man in the Santa line slaying. Okay, so Terrence Howard witnessed this stabbing that his dad had done in the line to see Santa Claus when he was 2 years old. So his father was convicted of manslaughter. He served 11 months, which seems very low, but I guess because this was like the 70s, 71, that, you got less jail time. I don't know. And Howard's parents divorced after the 11 months of him being in prison. And he was mostly raised by his great grandmother. So safe to say, rocky childhood. And I think that's where a lot of this stuff comes from, which like I said, we're about to see, the delusions, the mental instability that I tend to see. Now, there's tons of support for him and his beliefs, as there always is on the internet, but I feel like this guy's in not a great place. Anyways, okay, so he's been in that's his background. So now he's got he's been married 4 times to 3 women. Okay, so he's been married twice to the same woman, if you're doing the math. And he has 5 children. And he's married to someone right now who is Michelle Gent, who he was married to before. So I guess Howard married his second wife in 2010 and then remarried her recently. But I guess he had a wife in between that. I don't know. Not sure, but something's weird. And he's got a wife now who likes parasite cleanses. We're going to know that. We're going to find that out. Okay. So they had a divorce also. So with Michelle, before I say that, Michelle, the divorce was finalized in 2013, but the divorce agreement was overturned in 2015 after a judge ruled that Howard had signed it under duress of his ex-wife threatening to sell nude pictures of him and other personal information. So not a great situation there. Drama. Then he also said that many times that he went to school for chemical engineering and applied materials. Now that's going to be important for this interview coming up. But it was found out that he did not complete his engineering degree. And Howard thinks of himself as an engineer and intends to return one day to complete the 3 credits of which he claims is currently short. So he's basically like, I basically am a chemist, a chemical engineer, because I only was short 3 credits, which is typically like 1 class. But apparently he only went for a year. No, apparently he attended a school, Pratt Institute, can't read, in 1993, but they closed the program. And he also said that he has a PhD in chemical engineering from South Carolina State University. But apparently Howard never even attended that school. This is another George Santos, but for actors. Howard never attended South Carolina State University and does not have a doctorate in chemical engineering. However, he was awarded an honorary degree of Doctorate of Humane Letters from speaking. So he gave like a speech one time at the university. And apparently he's like, I'm a chemical engineer. So there you go. We're going to talk about this quite a bit, but he applied for a patent in 2010 that claims to be a system and method for merging virtual reality and reality to provide an enhanced sensory experience. But he abandoned it because he claims that he could not keep up with the legal fees to own the patent. But he says that basically it's worth trillions of dollars, that this patent is the key to all virtual reality. And then we're going to talk about this, but he also believes that he has created his own language of logic. He told Rolling Stone in 2015, he calls it teriology. Okay, teriology. And he was keeping it a secret. He was keeping it under wraps. And he claims that by this logic, he would use it to prove the biggest question of our time. What is 1 times 1? And in teriology, 1 times 1 equals 2. Okay, and we're going to show a little clip of this just to prove. We're going to hear from him what he thinks about his teriology 1 times 1 method. Here we go.
How I invented tangential flight, because you're mad. Someone programmed that lie in there and lied to you and everyone, and all your fundamentals are off.
Well,
That's the rest
certainly
of the
now.
fact.
I mean, I don't even know what to think.
You heard
I
that
don't know what just happened.
heard that I said 1 times 1
I
equals
don't-
2.
do you know what just
Did you?
happened?
Wait, you heard that I said both of
I
y'all
was
had
bad
heard
at
it.
math. I was
No,
horrible at
both
it.
of y'all had heard that I said 1 times 1 equals 2, didn't you? You had heard it somewhere. Somebody. That was
Yeah, I'd heard it. I'd heard it.
And then everybody said I was crazy.
Yeah, they did say that.
Well, am I crazy or is the calculator broke?
I mean, are those my only 2 options?
What do you think? What do you think? Or am I right? Or am I right? Am I right?
I don't know.
You
enough.
just did the calculation.
You need.
You just did the calculation. Both of y'all did.
Terrence, you look. I don't know what you thought you signed up for coming in here.
That's how I invented tangential flight because
Okay, so there's a little sneak peeky poo of what we're about to watch. And the sad thing is, oh yeah, here he is. I don't know. He's got a very weird Instagram. Terrence, what are you doing? Terry, quit this, please. Stop doing what you're doing right now. Stop. Joe Rogan acts like, oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, 1 times 1 could be 2. Like, dude, I don't know. He's making it seem like, yeah, this is very possible and not the ramblings of a madman. But there you go. I don't know what this means. I just thought it was kind of funny. I guess he thinks he's Jesus. I don't know. Somebody enlighten me. And we're going to go through a lot of things. This is something he's posted on his YouTube account. So this is called Tetralitarian Quantum Unified Field Fractal Universe Patent, blah, 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 blah. Okay, then he puts a link on Instagram because that's good. Okay, and I'm going to show you that I'm not lying, that this is truly what it takes you to. And then you get to watch this for 3 minutes and 52 seconds. And it's just, random epic music. And this is supposed to prove something about our universe that we just can't understand. To me, this looks like when you booted up your 1997 Windows and you were trying to connect to AOL and you somehow had that music player that would just pop up automatically. Maybe it was just me, but you'd play Eightful, what's it called? Blue dabba dee dabba, that song. And then this kind of music would pop up in visualization of the music. Anyways, this proves something according to Terrance, and he's gonna, prove it to us. Asari Shepherd, thank you so much. Asari Shepherd says, Terry, like all Holly weird, has gone off the rails. Amen. Amen. We got to get the Terry Jesus back up here to say a prayer because I agree with you. They have all gone off the rails. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I agree. And because I don't have my sound effect board, all I can say is this. Great comment. Thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate it. Yeah, and if you want to go back to this is coming directly from Terrance's own Instagram, so confirmed. He's saying that he's associated with this YouTube channel in some way. This is the YouTube channel. It's got 8,000 subs. Okay, you want to see something? What he's talking about? The thing that he's created? Here you go. The Linchpin Tangential Flight Corp. So he claims that he's this drone thing, these I don't know what they are, helixed molecule machines, that this is the key to something. Now, what you would do with this, I don't know. Fly it into a rock, I guess? Pick up a barrel? But he claims that this is breaking some sort of barriers. But we're going to get to it. So this is just a preview. Anyways, let's go right back to the beginning. Okay, so he thinks 1 times 1 is 2. He's going to prove it.
Colts.
Thank you again. Sorry. And then he went on, this is recent, he went on Joe Rogan, that's what we're going to watch, and he attempted to debunk the Pythagorean theorem and claims he can kill gravity, says he doesn't believe in the number 0. and claimed he remembers the events of the day he was born. So there you go. Also, Howard has been, this is just important to just bring up because some people think like, oh, this guy is just being unfairly prosecuted because he's such a genius. Okay, so let's just talk about his arrest record real quick. He was arrested in 2001 for a variety of charges related to a violent attack on his estranged first wife, including simple assault, terroristic threats, harassment, and stalking. According to police reports, he arrived at her house after an argument on the phone, forced entry into her home, breaking in doors, and chased her into the backyard, where he punched her twice in the face with a closed fist. The violent attack ended when his brother stepped in. In 2002, he pleaded guilty to disturbing the peace. Yeah, that's putting it lightly, I suppose. Jesus Christ. He also was arrested, it doesn't say what year, but he was arrested allegedly, well, no, I guess it's true, according to The Smoking Gun, for assaulting a Continental Airlines flight attendant after refusing her request to return to his seat because the seatbelt sign was on. So it sounds like that was just a misunderstanding gone wrong. And then in 2011, a judge granted Howard's then-wife Michelle a restraining order based on claims that Howard had caused her physical injuries that required medical attention, once broke her computer in half, which is quite impressive, repeatedly threatened her and stalked her by telephone and the internet. And then in 2013, she got a second restraining order after showing up in court with a black eye that she says he gave her. And then in September, this is just the final thing, in September 2015, Howard admitted to hitting his first wife in 2001, saying, "She was talking to me real strong and I lost my mind and slapped her in front of the kids." So that's good. So that's who Terrance is, just to give you a little background to help guide you into your feelings about this interview. And then before we get into it, I just want to show you a preview, just to give you another little sneak peek about what you're actually going to see in this interview. So here we go.
You reach into the next octave, the carbon octave, and they call that a bisexual tone because the carbon has two tones to it. It has a negative side and a positive side. The part where lithium behaves.
I showed this to chemistry people and I showed this to mental health people. The chemistry people said to me, "David, there is not even a vague overlap between this entire thing that Rogan's going, interesting, man, interesting." There's not even a vague overlap to reality from a chemistry standpoint. And the mental health people I showed it to said, this is very serious. You might classify, without diagnosing, you might classify this as severe mental illness if someone presented in your office and said this stuff.
But
So there you go. That's the best. That's the best intro we could give. All right, so here we go. 3 hours. I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but we'll see how far we get, and we'll take little breaks to watch like other proof and deeper explanations to things. We'll see how it goes. And here we go. Joe Rogan Experience has 8.3 million views 12 days ago. And people seem to be, at least at the top comments, pretty positive. A little bit, or at least neutral. So let's go. Let's do it.
How did you get started with all this?
Oops. Sorry.
I didn't come into this world the way everybody else does, I don't think. I used to think that everybody had the similar experience, but like if I asked you what was your first memory in life, what would it be?
I don't think I know.
My first memory was almost like when you're dreaming and you're falling and you hit the bottom and you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first memory, but I didn't wake up here. I was inside my mother's womb.
Of course.
And I was about maybe 6 months inside the womb. And I'm like, okay, don't forget I'm here. Okay. Don't forget. You go to sleep. You wake up again. Now something's moving in front of you. And you're like, oh, that's my friend. But I had a different name for it. I didn't know it was my hand. But I knew I had title for it. Go back to sleep, all of those things. Then ultimately you get ready to come out. I remember all of that.
You remember coming out?
Remember being compressed, and you want to panic, but you're flooded with like some serotonin and dopamine to where you feel relaxed. You go right back to sleep. You remember being born. I remember being circumcised. I remember the whole nine. And the proof of it was when my wife, Mira, that you just met.
Okay, this is obviously crazy, but have you ever seen somebody wear a hoodie and then put the earphones on top of that? It seems like not the most efficient way to hear. And maybe that's what you do when you don't care to hear other people. You just want to spew your stuff. You go, okay, let me put the cloth in between so it's literally everything else people say is muffled. It's a very interesting choice. I love his shirt. It's got like some sort of math on it. Okay, so we're starting off hot right at the top. Everyone else in life can't remember their birth. Obviously, they don't have memories for quite a while, but Terrance is different. He was born different, literally.
When she was 6 months pregnant with my son, Kieran, I wanted to prove to her what I was talking about. So I put a light on her stomach every day at 6 o'clock at night. And I would move that light back and forth, and I'd put a song on for a week straight. On Saturday, after a week, I didn't put the light there, and I didn't do the music. And he pushed up on her stomach. And then when I put the light there, he started following the light. And for the next 2 months, we did this every night, and he would go all the way around her belly.
Okay, another comment. Obviously, this proves nothing. Okay? He's got very nice nails. Whatever biotin he's taken, or whatever manicurist he's got in LA out there, hook it up, Terrance. Oh my gosh, look at that. Those are glossy. Very beautiful. Okay.
Back and forth, always pushing on it. I didn't understand at the time that maybe I've interfered with the development process, and maybe he's wrapped the cord around his neck. I shouldn't have done all of this, but it came out wonderful and fine. And this little boy, first thing he wanted to do is see light. He loved lights from that early stage, and I can ask him the square root of 2, the square root of 5, the square root of that, the square root of pi, and he will run it off. But he's just like, his personality is like Forrest Gump. It
is not a compliment, I don't think. Maybe it could be. I don't know. That's kind of a mixed message there. How old's this kid? Again, beautiful nails. How old's this kid? Prove it. I want to see his kid rattle off computations.
To where he's just loving and wants everybody to be around him and care. But for me, that's where it started, in there. And then when I was about 5 years old, I had another dream. And the room filled up with like this fluid, a dark fluid. And I could see the ripples of it moving around. And there was a being there. And I remember being walked through that fluid with him.
Ew.
And I was trying to look up at him, and I couldn't turn my head to look at him. And he had his hand straight. I knew his voice, but I did not know who it was, but I felt confident and comfortable. And as we moved...
As much as people don't care about your dreams current day, I could care less about a dream you had when you were 5 years old. I'm just saying.
Along this dark blue fluid path with like chartreuse covering the, how when you look into a pool and you see the ripples, and if you're at the bottom of the pool, you see the ripples overlapping.
He's pouring
That's
tea.
what it looked like. And then when we got to the end of it, he said to me, if you could have anything in the world, what would it be? Now, we were really poor. My dad had just gotten out of prison, for manslaughter. I didn't have much, but I said to him, I want to know how everything works. And at that moment, he used his left hand and he opened up the door. And there was this mansion big brown doors. And inside of it was these crystalline flowers, big crystalline flowers, like a giant, like 5 feet across. And every time I tried to see his face, he would reach in and hand me another shape. And I was so fascinated with the shapes because they didn't look like the platonic solids. They didn't look like anything I'd ever seen before. And he would hand me these shapes, and each shape was different and amazing. And I woke.
How many shapes could there possibly be that we haven't seen before? I think all the shapes have been discovered. I think all the colors have been discovered too by this point, I imagine. Okay, so this is going great. Thank you so much to Hawkbit37. Thank you. I like that thinking emoji that you have displayed here. And for that, I just need to say something really quick. I say this.
Oh, okay, Colts.
Appreciate you. All right, Terrance, you are losing me already.
Up from that dream. But after that moment, anytime something strange would happen in a dream, I had the powers of inception. Anytime I would be naked at school, I would say, I'm not naked. I must be dreaming. And immediately I would run out of the school or run out of wherever I was, and I would find that mansion again. And I had access to all the knowledge. The proof of it is the 97 patents that I have now. The proof of it is the industries that I've innovated. It's like waking up, having a dream that you have a diamond in your hand, and out of nowhere, you wake up and you're hoping you're holding it, and you try and hold it, and it's gone when you wake up. But the proof is all the stuff that I've been able to do now.
So all these thoughts
Are they coming from your brain right now? Or is someone telling you to say them in the room with us currently? Okay, just again. All right, that was his introduction. That was his opening. How are you doing? Welcome to the show. Let me tell you about a dream I had when I was 5. Okay. This is sad for Joe Rogan, and it's shame on him, honestly. Like, obviously, Terrance is a pretty good actor from what I understand and from what I've seen, which is limited, but, he's fairly good. Other than that, though, he's got issues. This dude is, like, obviously not well. And to platform him and give it any sort of relevance in our societal discussion of the world, I just feels like what's the word? He's not using him, but it seems like exploitation to act like this is not insane, what he's saying, and to give it, oh yes, okay, let's have a real conversation. He's incapable of having a solid conversation, it seems. But anyways.
from the time you were a baby. These are not things
exploitation,
that
that's
you've
what I meant to say.
learned. These are things that you had in your mind from the time you were born.
From before that time, because I remembered that I had been someplace else before. Now, what's interesting, that voice that I heard, that's my voice now. So it was like my greater self was leading me through and periodically would show up again in other dreams. And I went off and became...
What? Ugh. I'm back. What the heck? Ugh. What to do, because it's going to happen again. This is what happened with Dave Ramsey, too. It's like, is it not enough for you, Joe Rogan, that you get 8 million views on one video from a crazy person talking about nonsense, that you can't let someone do a reaction video to it? Ugh. I'm just going to keep playing it, and we might have to have like a little delay every so often because they're going to keep copyright striking it or claiming it or whatever, and we could just come back to it. So annoying. I wonder if I play it a little faster, if it won't get picked up. Potentially. Sometimes that helps if you change the speed. They don't catch on as much. Let's see. It screws the system. My favorite pastime, screwing the system. Okay, let's see.
Became an actor because my mother wanted my little brother to be an actor, and I thought if I became an actor, I would get my mother's affection. It wasn't until my mother was dying, and I'm talking to her, and she told me the reason that she was babying Antonio was because he had asthma, and my father always questioned whether it was his son or not because he looked so much like her family and didn't look so much like him. And I realized, my God, if I had followed my proper course, I could have saved my mother, because the knowledge that I had, I had the grand unified field equation. I had already put that together. And
the what?
At 7, 8, I was working with these things, and then I went through all of the hell that I had to go through. Being accused of domestic violence, all of those things. And I thought it was a curse at the time, but it was really removing me from advancing down the wrong path. And during that period of time, I started waking up in my dreams again.
But you admitted to slapping your first wife in the face. And so the other accusations are just the cabal trying to stop your math from happening? Okay, seems unlikely.
And I started going back into that palace. And I remembered all of these things, and I started patenting them. As I moved along, I got in touch with Michael Hudak. He was the president of the University of Science and Philosophy, because I was studying a guy named John Keeley, who had worked with frequency back in 1870s, had built the first what do they call it? Self-sustaining engine. Back in 1872, but he wouldn't tell people how he built it. And I was watching a program with Del Pons, and somebody in the audience said, "Doesn't John Keeley's work remind you a lot of Walter Russell?" And a bell went on. And so I got in touch with the University of Science and Philosophy after watching some stuff about Walter Russell, and Michael Hudak, took me under his wing.
That's the life for me. Oh, oh, oh. That's the life for me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's the life. That's the life. That's the life for me. My name is James. That's what mother called me. My name is James. 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 There are people in the city very far from here. Very, very far away, very far away. There are people in the city very far from here. Very, very far away, very far away. Someone shit. I'm back. You know, I would imagine Joe Rogan is some dude that would like die on the hill of freedom of speech and, you know, not hurting business. Like he would take that side of the argument of things, you know, if it's like running a factory or making sure the workers are taken care of, he'd be like, well, business comes first. You know, he's famously said that he doesn't believe in paternity leave, that like only stupid women should be taking maternity leave, like men don't, there's no purpose. Welcome, Mind Man, thank you. You know, so I think he would be on the side of like, say whatever you want, criticize whoever you want, it's all free, it's all part of the free market. Okay, except when I'm trying to watch a freaking interview that he's given. Then all bets are off. Then it's like protecting the sanctity of my Joe Rogan Spotify subscription. I don't know, man. The speed up didn't work. I just changed the headline of the title to help. That was a suggestion I saw too. I don't know what to do. This is going to be an easy day, but now I'm thinking maybe we should just watch cursed Instagram reels as a backup since we can't watch what I intended to watch. And we'll see if those people are okay with it. The fact that here, let me tie this into Rachel Hollis as I do with every stream and every moment of my life. As much as Rachel Hollis is, you know, annoying to me and whatever, I've listened to 8 million hours of her content on here, and it's never been like copyright striked ever or copy anything. It's been always allowed, which I appreciate. Speeding it up did not work. Download and pitch it up a lot? Yeah, maybe. Or maybe we're just going to have to just do different. I do have quite a big list of random stuff I've saved. Might have to go off the rails ourselves here. Apologies. Maybe I'll do a video and I'll have to, I say this every time, but I'll do a like edited video. So maybe it's just because it's the whole live stream. So I will promise to do an edited video for you on this topic so that I can get my thoughts out. Because I think it's very interesting and his whole background and stuff. So it'll get done. But in the meantime, let's have fun. I think it's the... Okay, let's try it on Spotify. We'll see. We'll try on Spotify first. And then if that doesn't work, then I'm going to switch topics. Because I agree. We don't need to see it. You've already seen him. He's got his headphones on top of his hoodie. But I guess everyone does that, according to these images I'm looking at. God, Joe Rogan interviews a lot of people. It's just like so far down. Also, I love John Mayer, okay? If you didn't know, now you know. If you don't know, now you know. Okay, here it goes. So we were at, like 10 minutes in? He had just said that he was falsely accused of domestic violence. All right, let's see how this goes. I have a feeling, though, it ain't going to go well, but we'll see. And let's try, just do regular speed.
You'll see hydrogen sitting all the way.
Okay, well, we've skipped.
Because the stuff I had learned in college.
Nope, he may not have gone to college, okay.
Things, and I thought it was a curse at the time.
Okay, here we are. Let's go back a tiny bit. All right, back to it. Let's see how long it lasts.
And I'm talking to her, and she told me the reason that she was babying Antonio was because he had asthma, and my father always had questioned whether it was his son or not because he looked so much like her family and didn't look so much like him. And I realized, my God, if I had followed my proper course, I could have saved my mother, because the knowledge that I had, you know, I had the grand unified field equation. I had already put that together, and at 7, 8, I was working with these things, and then I went through all of the hell that I had to go through. being accused of domestic violence, all of those things. And I thought it was a curse at the time, but it was really removing me from advancing down the wrong path. And during that period of time, I started waking up in my dreams again. And I started going back into that palace. And I remembered all of these things, and I started patenting them. As I moved along, I got in touch with Michael Hudak. He was the president of the University of Science and Philosophy, because I was studying a guy named John Keeley, who had worked with frequency back in the 1870s, had built the first, what do they call it, self-sustaining engine.
That part got me the first time too. It's like, what do they call it? I don't know. You're supposed to be the baby genius. You're supposed to be the fetus that knew before all of us. So you should remember those things, Terrence.
Back in 1872, but he wouldn't tell people how he built it. And I was watching a program with Del Pons, and somebody in the audience said, doesn't John Keeley's work remind you a lot of Walter Russell? And a bell went on. And so I got in touch with the University of Science and Philosophy after watching some stuff about Walter Russell. And Michael Hudak, took me under his wing and started talking to me. But he was more into the philosophy and the love that Walter was talking about. But my intention was to rebuild the periodic table, build a new periodic table, because the stuff I had learned in college, I went to school for chemical engineering the first year over at Pratt. And at the time, I think it was like 108 elements. And I told the teacher, professor, about the relationship between hydrogen on the spectrometer and carbon and silicon and cobalt. And I was like, it's the same exact color, same tone, just doubled in each octave. And he was like, no, each element is the same element and it will always be that element. And I was like, you don't see the relationship. So I left school and I was going to spend 40 years rebuilding the periodic table. And I found out that Walter Russell had already did that.
This episode is brought to you.
Oh, it's a built-in ad. Oh, Spotify's getting smart. Can I just mute it? I'll give my commentary every time we have to read a farmer's dog advertisement. Okay, it lets you play it on mute. Yikes. Okay, so far so good. Knock on wood. Cooper, you want farmer's dog? Ad. It's an ad from Joe Rogan Experience. He's looking at me like, huh? What's going on? I live here. You're a stranger. No, he's my best friend. Okay, so periodic table. So he's like, you know what? The periodic table, it's not for me. I can't memorize it. So instead of, working to learn it and understand it, I am going to do my own. The periodic Terry. The periteric table. I don't know. That's a very interesting goal that he had in college. Most people go to learn and to experience football games and beer pong. Terrence is like, no, I'm going to insult the professors and just proclaim myself genius, king of the world. All right. I guess Google is trying to correspond with me. Okay, this is the longest ad. It's a 2-minute ad. Wait, why can't I hear anything? I turned it off. That's why. Okay, we're almost at the end of The Farmer's Daughter for dogs.
First box.
Gosh. Spotify's making that dollar. The teriyaki table. Exactly, Jobs. The teriyaki table. Oh. What would be on the teriyaki table? Oh, God. Another ad? This is not worth it. And, of course, AG1 is like the biggest ripoff in the world. Okay, we got to listen to a minute 26 of the Huberman ripoff brand. Anyways, periodic table. I would say gold straight up is got to be on it for sure. What else? Quantum. That's an element now. Parasites. That's just another element. Vibes. Frequencies. Sun. Chemtrails. It's just, again, an amalgamation of like everything that's... Oh, part-time jujitsu, you have come in late. You've been called out. We are on this Spotify BS because the stream got shut down twice for violations of watching the blessed, just sacred Joe Rogan podcast on YouTube. So no, we are sanctioned and stuck on Spotify's godforsaken 3-minute ad platform that we hope will now be that you can't skip. I don't think. Maybe we could. Maybe that whole thing was for nothing. I could have skipped it the whole time. I'll never tell. Okay, back to it. Terrance, take it away.
He did it based upon the natural curvature of everything.
And when you say rebuild the periodic table, what do you mean specifically?
Well, the way the periodic table is laid out, the periodic table they have now,
Let's see.
it looks like a
Pull up
box.
an image of it.
It looks like a straight box.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't show the relationship that between every element, there's two
All right, here's the periodic table.
You'll see hydrogen sitting all the way over there by itself, but they don't show that hydrogen has the same tone as carbon.
What do you mean by tone?
Same tone, same key of E. Same key of E.
Key of E, still not computing for me.
3.5 hertz. The next one would be like 81 hertz. You go to silicone, it will double up and would be 162 hertz. You'll go to cobalt and it'll be 324 hertz. It's, in that base, if you were to take the angles of incidence or the tones that they create, their color, like you can turn color back into sound based upon, it's the same wavelength, it's just twice as long or much longer. So all you have to do is keep dividing light by 2.
Keep that up, Jamie.
You keep dividing light by 2, and you'll ultimately get back to the audible sound of it, because there was a relationship between light and color, sound and tone, matter and shape. I put, I sent...
Huh? This is like one of those people who you cannot follow a word they're saying, and so therefore at a certain point you just go, well, he sounds nice and fancy. I guess he must be right. I'm just too dense to understand. And in reality, it's like, no, it's all nonsense.
Over Walter Russell's.
I was trying to get to that. That's what.
Yeah, it's Walter Russell's periodic table that he put together.
Okay, let's look it
Now
up.
you compare that to what Mendeleev's periodic table. You'll compare Walter Russell's to it, and you'll see something completely different. It's unwinding.
Whoa.
It's unwinding. And you see there's a relationship that hydrogen...
So you had figured this out at a young age?
I had already seen this. This was all inside of that palace. I had access to it, and I knew the relationship.
So you saw this in dreams?
I saw it as a circle. Everything was a full circle laid out, and each area was just expanding, like wrapping a rag around your hand. The first wrap, it's so tight. The very first wrap is so tight. That's the first one that Walter Russell did, yeah. But go back to the wiggly one.
The wiggly one.
This is how I saw it more so, but as a vortex. But you'll see there's a relationship between hydrogen, carbon, silicon, cobalt, rhodium. They're all bonded. They're all sit as the middle point between two noble gases. So those things don't really exist. It's only one substance. Now the problem is the first thing that we're able to perceive is hydrogen. That's the first visible element, because before it is too dense for us to perceive it. You understand what I'm saying?
No.
But as you reach into the next octave, the carbon octave, and they call that a bisexual tone, because the carbon has two tones to it. It has a negative side and a positive side. The part where lithium behaves, lithium is contractive. Beryllium is contractive. Boron is contractive. But the moment you get to carbon, you balance it out. It gets to a perfect balance of plus and minus 4. So it's a double tone. Then nitrogen is minus 3,1. -3, oxygen is -2, fluorine is -1. Now the balance of this, all of those are mates. Fluorine and lithium naturally mate. If you have lithium bonded with any other element, the moment that fluorine is introduced, it will break all bonds violently so it can bond with fluorine. Same thing with beryllium and oxygen. That's why it said, and what they've tried to keep from us, if you want to break water into its component parts of hydrogen and oxygen, all you have to do is introduce beryllium or the sound of beryllium. And
you just have to whisper to it, beryllium, beryllium, the sound of beryllium. You're good to go. Okay, so yeah, I don't think this means anything according to the stuff I watched from other people that say, like, yeah, this is nonsense. I don't know enough to say it is, but I don't think it is. I just want to say, we're all listening to the same podcast, right? This is how he's described in this episode. Terrence Howard is an actor, okay, true, of stage and screen, lauded for his work in Crash, Iron Man, Empire, and Shirley, as well as a musician. Okay, fine, whatever. That's all true. There you go. But this part, and researcher in the fields of logic and engineering. That's saying like madman on the internet very, very nicely. Like, he's not even trying. I don't know. It's so sad. We've come to a weird place in the world where this is just everyone's, like, Joe Rogan knows. Joe Rogan is not stupid. He understands basic things. He knows this man is not well mentally. And yet here we are telling, he's a researcher in the fields of logic and engineering. Give me a break. Come on.
Oxygen will violently break away from any other thing, even hydrogen, to bond with that beryllium. And now you can have it just with the frequency of it. And since the hydrogen is smaller, hydrogen will, that waveform, you can send that up into one tube, the oxygen into another tube, without using electrolysis, without using heat. It was just through frequency. And the proof of it, if you go back up just a little bit higher, we know the relationship between sodium and chlorine. They're equal and opposite mates. If you get out of the pool and you got chlorine and you're itching from the chlorine, all you have to do is get some real salt and rub that on your skin, and it'll turn right into an oil. It naturally neutralizes each other. So everything has an equal and opposite mate. The lithium becomes sodium in the next octave, doubles the same exact tone, just doubled and wider. The sodium becomes potassium in the next octave, widens up. The reason that arsenic kills us is because our DNA has nitrogen and it has phosphorus in it, because nitrogen unwinds into the next octave right after silicon and becomes phosphorus. Our DNA has both of those in there, but it's going by tone. So the moment arsenic, which sits as a -3 on the next octave.
Okay, I just have to say that there seems to be, you know how, okay, actually, I don't know if I can say that. That's, like, not PC. I was on a jury. I've talked about this experience before. It was, like, one of the most fun experiences of my life. I know, I'm lame as hell, but, like, I'm such a jury nerd. I'm, like, the most court nerd ever. But I served on a criminal jury once for 5 days. And the crime was stalking. But the woman was similar to Terrance that was defending herself in the case. And she was also obsessed with Hertz. We had to have a Hertz sound engineer scientist come in and speak on what the different levels and decibels of sound were, because this woman was convinced that her neighbors were trying to kill her via acoustic, whatever weaponry. And it's a real thing, they have discovered it in Cuba, I guess, or last thing I heard about it. It's a real thing, but it requires, giant operations to actually accomplish. And this was like a tiny apartment complex in Florida. And the woman was convinced that her downstairs neighbor was doing this acoustic warfare, whatever. So therefore, she was thinking that the neighbor was hurting her with this acoustic Hertz. So then she started stalking the neighbor. This is a very convoluted case. Okay, we found her guilty. But I learned a lot about audio wave and stuff. And, it tends to attract people who, I guess because it's hard, there's things you can't hear, but they are there, like waves, people really that are into spirituality, believe in spirits and all these things that are around us. So I guess audio waves and light rays are the closest thing to that you can kind of get obsessed with. But there seems to be a pattern that people who are on the verge of complete mental lapse or breakdown get obsessed with this type of science. I just wanted to say that this is a correlation I have found.
The moment arsenic is introduced, the body thinks that, oh, this is my thing that I need. And it tries to wrap itself around the arsenic, but it causes the DNA to unravel because it's 4 times as large as that nitrogen was. And those other little elements, titanium, vanadium, chromium, magnesia, and iron, all of those aren't true elements. Those are isotopes. Those things, those first...
Okay, I just want to answer this question. Yes, I watched Jury Duty. I was both so intrigued by that show. I loved it. And then I was also disturbed by the show because I felt like he probably is going to have residual trauma from it because of being tricked so grandly that I felt bad for him. And I was like, damn, I don't know if this is ethical. But as a concept and as an actual show as an entertainment show, I did watch it and enjoy it. Probably because I liked my jury experience so much.
3 are the full tones. They make full spheres. But now it becomes elliptical with titanium, vanadium, and chromium. And on the other side, it's like I said, if you wrap the rag around your hand, the first wrap, really tight. You can't get much out of it. Second wrap, you damn near can't see the difference of it. Third one, you start seeing hydrogen. The fourth wrap, you see carbon.
I don't think you can see any of those things.
Or a rag, and I can show you that twist. But in between each one of them, by the time you get, nature does not allow us in the silicone octave for there to expand out. But there is the same titanium, vanadium, chromium, magnesia, and iron that exists between aluminum and silicone. But
Who
nature
cares,
doesn't
dude?
allow us to unravel that. But now, with the wave conjugations, we can. We couldn't do that before because we didn't know the angles of incidence that were necessary to open these things up. And you couldn't do that with the platonic solids because the platonic solids were averages and approximations. They, like I've said a number of times, you show me a real straight line in nature. If everything in the universe,
Come here.
everything is expressed in motion, all motion expressed in waves, all waves were curved. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So the greater the action, the greater the reaction. The greater the reaction, the greater the resistance. The greater the resistance, the greater the curvature. Because the universe is based off of equanimity, which Einstein left out in his theory of relativity, the balancing side of the
Einstein was not as wise as our boy Terrence Howard. Einstein was just either on purpose to mislead the public, or because he was a dum-dum, not at the level of Terrence Howard, famously known as Big Mama's House, bad boyfriend number one.
Gravity was caused by electric force. Electricity is always seeking a higher pressure condition. It spins northeast, is trying to get to the center of an area, the center of a cone.
Can I take a
but
picture?
the next electric wave is coming, so it gets pushed out, and as it's pushed out, it gets to the vortices. And that's on those pieces, those vortices.
Vortice?
Now, instead of it spinning northeasternly, centripetally, it's forced to spin centrifugally, and it spins southwesternly. And it expands itself out. It decays. It keeps decaying until you get 4 magnetic waves that hit each other at 120-degree angles. At that point, they reconvert back into the electric field, and then they make their way back to their source again, whether it's the star, whatever star it came into. What happens when we get older? We expand at our equator, right?
What?
We get shorter at the top. Why? Because the electric force is pushing in and condensing, and the magnetism expands out at the equator. The
Look at this
electron field, the electrons, that's just discharged electricity,
That's
devitalized electricity coming from the sun, coming from the earth. It's the waste product from it. But it hits our magnetic field, and then it gets pulled right back in and gets compressed again, and now it becomes electricity for the earth, and then it pushes itself right back out again at the equator. The equator is 5 miles wider than the poles. Electricity, Einstein left that out of his equation because he coupled electricity and magnetism together and didn't realize that electricity was the equal and opposite of magnetism. Electricity being the contractive field. You breathe in, that's a contractive thing. You breathe out, that's a magnetic thing, a radiative thing. But they use the term magnet as an attractor. But to magnify something means to what? Make it larger, increase the space. That's the work of radiation. That's what Walter Russell was talking about all those years. That's the work of radiation. It's the electricity between the things that pull them together. The Coulomb force that supposedly opposites attract and push each other away. If that was true, then hot air and cold air would seek each other out. They're the same substance, but just but in a different state. They move in opposite directions from each other.
I just saw your comment. Part-time, and I'm going to get it right this time. I'm so sorry. Part-time jitsu. I don't know why I add the extra. I guess because I just assume jiu-jitsu is all the only way it can be said. Okay, part-time jitsu. Thank you for your comment. And thank you for celebrating 1 whole year of membership. OMG. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Part-time jitsu. 1 year old says, can we go back to the 3-minute silence ad? Yeah, it's much more calming actually than what we're saying. And I agree. Where is Joe Rogan? Joe, jump in. Joe, we did it, Joe. Now it's time for you to say something. This is your show, man. Like, we're just letting unfettered, unfiltered nonsense go on. Maybe we don't need 3 hours, actually. I take my compliment back from earlier. Maybe we could just wrap this up quickly and go, all right, this is all crazy. Goodbye, everybody. We'll try again tomorrow. The teriyaki table. Okay. Hopefully, I want to move on to other topics. I'm ready. I'm ready to hear about 1 × 1 = 2.
Water and cold water move in opposite directions from each other. The reason 2 magnets seem like the North Pole is attracted to the South Pole, because if you had 2 rivers or 2 hoses with water coming out of them, and you pointed them at each other, what are they going to do? They're going to be pushing against each other. But they align to where the male enters the female and is able to come out. So they've been fooled by their senses. They've been fooled by their eyes. And have missed the whole picture of it. Are you familiar with Khalil Gibran?
Yes.
he wrote a book. He wrote The Prophet, in 1923, but he wrote another book called Sand and Foam. In that book, he told a story of a man who had been away from his family for 4 months working, and he was excited to come home. And as he was coming home, he knew that the mountain, when he saw the mountain, that he was close to home. So his 5 senses started having a conversation, and his eyes says, I see a mountain, I see a mountain, I see a mountain. And so the ears perked out and said, I don't hear a mountain. The nose sniffed and said, I don't smell a mountain. The tongue tasted the air. I don't taste a mountain.
Woo!
And the other 4 senses started speaking among themselves, and they came to the conclusion that there must be something the matter with the eye, because they couldn't perceive it. But all of these things, we've been misled just because we've been fooled by our senses. Our eyes see 0.05% of the entire electromagnetic wave. We're blind cosmically, but we judge everything by what we see. And they've done that with science for so many years. You look at E = mc squared. That talks about expansion. It does not show how it's divided. If ever you've never breathed in twice without breathing out. You breathe in and you breathe out. You charge and you discharge. There's no. So how is it
possible
that the breathing in, they're acting as if the universe is just expanding out, breathing out, and it's going to dissipate out, and they never include the contractive side of it, breathing in, because they were misled by Newton.
I always say that. Newton is darn tootin' wrong. Newton be wrong. Because the apple that hit him in the head actually sent him into a state of insanity.
Who said everything moves in a straight line unless
I always
affected
say
by
that.
something else. And we know that not to be true. But they built the entire two-dimensional plane, the Euclidean space that we live on, that we work on, that we try and define curved nature by two-dimensional space, and we never include the curvature, the breathing in. Like Alan Watts said, no one would be attracted to a Euclidean woman.
A tale as old as time. What are you saying? What's Euclidean woman? A curvy woman? I'm confused. I'm so confused.
Because she would just be straight. All straight lines. It's the wiggliness, it's the curvature that brings the balance. Everything has to have the balance. You know, the electric side and the magnetic side. I can talk about it, but I can show you
Please.
even better.
Please show.
If you can,
Can I stop you there? The concept of the periodic table, the way the periodic table conventionally is addressed. Do they address these things as being isolated or intertwined?
they interact, but they feel that carbon will always be carbon, and it will have its half-life and keep breaking down, but it still be carbon. They don't understand that it unwinds and becomes nitrogen. Nitrogen unwinds and becomes oxygen.
So the periodic table, the conventional use of the periodic table, and what is this other gentleman's name again?
Walter Russell.
Walter Russell's version of the periodic table. How is Walter Russell's version of the periodic table perceived by people who study this?
Well, now everyone wants to use it. If you can go to in my book, there's a picture of Einstein reading.
Can we go to my book? There's a picture of Einstein reading in it. Okay, it's always a good setup. Okay, hey, can you pull up my book? I need to reference the picture of Einstein reading. This proves that he's an idiot. Einstein was misled because he couldn't see the carbon unwind. All right, as we look for his book.
Walter Russell's first book, second book, The Universal One. Because when Walter wrote this in 1926, he sent it out to 300 different universities and physicists. And one of the quotes that Einstein says on his deathbed, I should have spent more time reading Walter Russell's work. That's how, and now they're taking it under their wing, but remember
I feel like that's something that Walter Russell, or whoever this person he's talking about is, said after he died. Just like, you know what Einstein said on his deathbed? We can never disprove it. He said he wishes he read my book more. That'd be a good quote. That'd be like a Napoleon Hill quote. Oh boy. Okay. Here's his book, by the way. He loves these I'm not showing it, sorry. He fell in love with these geometric shapes. He's a fan of like the little, the thing, what do you call it? Contractor? The thing where you can draw little things and spirals and all that. He liked those and he stuck with it. This is his website. Okay, it says Terrence Howard, 1 × 1 = 2. This is the truth. This is the light. This is the wave. TLC. 1 × 1 = 2. Okay, I guess that's his whole book. And then he's got another one, The Flower of Life. I prefer the 1 × 1 = 2, personally. Here's The Flower of Life. Beautiful. Love it. Okay, that's all we're getting. I don't see Einstein. Oh, wait. Terrance proves gravity is an effect, not a cause. And he does this via Blender. The 3D graphics creator app. So he's showing us how gravity is an effect and not a cause by showing us graphic art of space. Also, linchpin technology illustrations. That's his big, he's going to talk about it at some point, I think, about his big invention. It's called linchpin. Now, what website is this? This is called THP Development Video. It says even less subscribers than the other video, or the other channel. Here's Terrance. Here's 2020 vision. Uh-oh. Did he predict? Did he predict because he knows all what was going to happen? Let's see. This is a hot take. This is from January 1st, 2020. Here was what he thought was the vision. Okay. I'm putting it on the line here. Was he right? I'm going to turn off the music. Okay. He said the world is going to be really, really, really swoopy and wiggly, like he likes. And there's going to be hurricanes, and then it's going to go back. And the Earth's going to turn back around, which kind of is true. It did go back, but it also went forward. Okay, I guess this is just artwork showing that extreme weather happened in 2020. I don't know. Here's something. This looks good. Just for a quick aside. Oh my gosh. Okay. You always know that a podcast is going to be good when the host is wearing a hat with headphones underneath. That's when you know.
You know what they are, right? Red, blue, and green.
Yeah.
Red, blue, and green. And the way that they mix together. Blue and the yellow, make green.
Make green, right.
And so forth and so on. Well, there's 7 overall tones that make up the rainbow. The violet, red, orange.
RGB.
And then yellow, green, blue, and then and indigo.
Yep.
No, violet makes the rainbow. Indigo starts it.
Right.
So.
No, it's red. Roger Biv. You can just tell this is like really, really good content, high quality. We got periodic tables printed out. She's got a fuzzy cheetah hat. She's in her Google, Hangouts, and he can't even be bothered to turn his camera on. That's when you know you're getting the real Einstein couldn't be this hot material. Here's another one.
To the piece that, DJ and Chris's work.
Chick's confused.
Yeah, let's go to the actual. The one that I wanted coming out of the ground. You know which one I'm talking about. Yeah. Right there.
What is happening? This is good content.
But now when the woman's body recognizes it's a little boy and floods it with testosterone, it causes this little area inside the brain. I like to call it the locus ceruleus. They say that they haven't drawn the natural connection to it yet, but it's a thing that have these tentacles that's coming out of in the brain. And it causes a man to have this myopic view. And so if he thinks one thing, he's going to run right at it. He just see A to Z, and it's just A to B.
Okay, I think he's trying to explain all of the mistakes he's made in life and explain it away by science. Like, one time in the 4th grade, the teacher asked him, like, Terrance, okay, you're up. What's 1 times 1? He said 2, and the whole class laughed, and he was like, you will rule the day that this class laughed at me. I will spend my life proving that I am not a joke. And then he just went off the deep end. And like, just in this tiny clip that we're watching for a second, like, he's talking about in the womb, women put off a hormone of testosterone in the womb. Therefore, men only see A to B. Therefore, if they slap their wife in the face, they shouldn't go to jail. It's actually the woman's fault because she gave me the hormones. It's like, it's just justifying every bad thought he ever had and trying to explain it via confusing crystals and science and tones and whatever. Anyways, what's he drinking?
It's just the truth, and I'm sorry if it messes up a bunch of books. This is the truth, and this is the geometry behind the truth, and it can be tested. Any person that hears this can go and wind up our solar system.
Now, can I ask you this? Would you? I know you said you're retiring from acting, but everything that you're, letting me know now, and everything you're teaching, everything in your book, would you consider doing either a documentary or a movie, just because the average person may not still grasp it just from you discussing it, just from reading the book? Is there any type of other documentary type of project you would do for this? Just because I think some people may learn it a little bit differently if it's in film.
Well, like the scripture says, let him that has ears hear, let him that has eyes see.
Okay.
What does that mean?
I've spent enough time communicating in that void. That is a true void.
Okay.
With a lot of agendas. And, I'll rather use the sunshine and the space that's provided. And those that need to hear will hear.
Yes.
And those that the flower calls, that the Father calls. They'll get.
What? Okay, do you want to go back to Joe Rogan? Back to Joe Rogan. It's just hard to get through the if I hear the word carbon one more time, I'm gonna lose it. Okay, sorry, we'll go back, and I'll pull up his book again.
The Michelson-Morley experiment from 1887. They were trying to prove whether there was an ether or an effect of an ether, or the quintessence that everything came from. That used to be.
God. Couldn't Joe Rogan just watch that other woman's interview that we just watched and see, okay, this ain't gonna be good? No, doesn't do any research. Awesome. Thank you, Angela Arnold. Thank you so much. Angela Arnold says, 20 months? Dang, girl. 20 months of membership. Wow. That's a record. Thank you so much for all of your continued support. I appreciate it so much. Angela Arnold says, this is very entertaining. And yay for Cooper. Cooper. He left me. Cooper is the best dog ever. He really, really is sweet. Okay, back to it. Thank you so much, Angela.
Be called the fifth element, that everything in that from antiquity, everyone understood that something doesn't come out of nothing. It's like when you look at the air, it looks clear, but you change the pressure condition. The balance of the change of pressure condition, we call that condensation. It creates clouds. And you change the motion conditions, whether it's moving quickly or slowly, it's going to become snow, it's going to become rain, it's going to become hell. So everything comes down to just one of two forces. Either you're breathing in and filling up something, or you're pouring it out. But the scientists, they ignored Walter Russell's work because he didn't include any equations inside of it. He talked philosophically regarding how things behave in comparison to laying down and following some Newtonian or calculus writing. You know, he said he based things based on, let's explore them naturally. And that's what I did with my book. Once what Walter Russell was missing, he didn't have the wave conjugations. He didn't have the mirror shapes, the all shapes. And that was because of a mistake that was made 6,000 years ago, maybe. They took the flower of life, which was that symbol. If you could go to my book, tcotlc.com, there's an example that I put in there on page 64. And I show the period, I show the
This is a book.
element, the fundamentals. If you could possibly pull that up, Jamie.
What was that .com again?
tcotlc.com.
And then
You'll
how do you
see in there the mistake that they made because they believed in straight lines, because the church was promoting the idea of straight lines. You just tap on right below there.
fidget spinner?
Download. No, just go to the center of the page, and right above that, and you see initial public draft. Just tap on it.
Oh gosh. Okay, so this is his book, right? He's got memes. He's got memes in this book. I love it. Okay, here's the cover. No title needed. Here we go. Allow me to enlighten you. If 4/2 is the inverse operation of 2 times 2 equals 4, then it would naturally follow that 2/1 is the inverse operation of 1 times 1 equals 2. What does your common sense tell you about these two scenarios? What do they have in common, and what are their differences? Division. The number 4 is divided by 2 twice. And the truth is, the number 2 is divided by 1 twice. Huh? Addition. Okay, I'm following. Let's do this, guys. Let's come on. We got to learn. We got to catch up to society. The 5D Earth. This is 5D Earth math. Addition. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Got it. Okay. And 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay. I feel familiar. I feel confident about that. Okay. Subtraction. 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay. I believe. And 2 minus 1 equals 1. Okay. Hey, we're all living in a simulation. Got it. Okay, here we go. Here comes the complication. Here comes the, what do you call it? The Mandela effect. Multiplication. 2 times 2 equals 4. And 1 times 1 equals 1. Can you see where the mistake has occurred? No, I don't actually. But okay, enlighten us, Terry. Both of these scenarios are identical in every way. The only difference exists in dimension alone. If they add, subtract, and divide according to the same ratio, then they must also multiply according to the same ratio. Plain and simple. If 2 divided by 1 is inconsistent with 1 times 1 equals 1, although 4 divided by 2 is consistent with 2 times 2 equals 4, then it should follow that 2 squared equals 4 and 1 squared equals 2. Yet, the math and scientific community tells us that common sense and logic are wrong in this case because of a product of an arbitrary convention called the identity property. Wow. What losers ever thought that this was the truth? This is quite the riveting content. Dear world, I have been told by many that the releasing of this truth may pose certain challenges in my life. And they were right. For there are many institutions that this truth will be viewed as disruptive to their system of profit and gains. Yeah, because we all know that the scientific universities are only about profit. It's not just big pharma, it's big college, it's big math, it's big mathematicians. They want you to believe that 1 times 1, actually, if they want you to believe that 1 times 1 equals 1, that's actually less in numbers than 1 times 1 equals 2. So Terrance actually wants bigger profit and gains, technically, by the math that he is wanting. I want to live a happy and peaceful life, and I pray for longevity, not just for me, but for our entire species. Know that I would never harm myself, nor anyone else for that matter, except when I slapped my wife in the face and other accusations that my other wives have made against me. Nevertheless, if my life has to face certain challenges so that this planet can be saved, please do not let these trials that I may have to face be in vain, and pray for me as I am praying for you. Sincerely, Terrence Howard, May 25th, 2019. And then a meme. They've got us surrounded, those poor bastards. All right. Well, that is odd. And that to me sounds like cult leader on the move. He is wanting to be a cult leader. He is setting himself up for this. He's saying a lot of stuff. He believes he is holier than thou, obviously. And it may not be dangerous or harmful at this stage, but this is maybe stage 1. And then we're going to get 1 times 1 equals 2, stage 2, where he starts to gain a following. And it's crazy that more people aren't completely disturbed by this, but we live in a world. Okay, here's page 4. Quote, I may be climbing on rainbows, but baby, here goes. It should never occur that the square root of a given number, when added to itself, produces a result greater than the... Okay. All right. Whatever. I don't care about this math shit. Okay, I want to read over here. About the author. Hello, I am Terrence Howard. I was conceived sometime during the week of June 7th, 1968. I'm glad to know that. My parents might have been listening to This Guy's in Love by Herb Alpert, because that was the number 1 song that week, and it has always been one of my favorites. All of these things took place in Cleveland, Ohio, but I was born on March 11th, 1969 in Chicago, Illinois. That's when the rest of the world got a chance to see this creation that I've come to know as me. That's concerning. There's a phrase, a vibration, that has been heard bouncing upon the lips of mankind. This notion or state of being called being awake, woke, or enlightened, as it were. I personally prefer being aware. I am a manifestation of all collected states of matter. I am aware of who I am. I make no excuses for what I am, nor for my over-curious nature. I accept my being and know that in order for me to occupy this particular place in space-time, every wave within the universe has to have co-signed my existence and must likewise be aware of my being in some cosmic sense or another. Every waveform in this universe flows through me and into every other waveform for that matter. This is a book about the illusion of matter. Every wave is dependent upon my existence and my particular crest and trough, my spin, my charge, as I am likewise held together by every other wave that is. Oh my lord. I am necessary in order for all other things to be, and everything else is necessary in order for me to be. He also capitalizes like random words like everything else and me, but not be and not order and not necessary, like almost godlike. Very weird. We are all one. I am a father of 5 children and grandfather of 2. I haven't any formal training in the field of mathematics. I thought he was a chemistry degree. There's no math training in that. Nor do I hold degrees in any of the sciences. What I do hold is a deep respect for all created things, and I have spent nearly 5 decades utilizing the tools of common sense, which doesn't seem to be so common these days. Okay, here's his parents. Yeah, so here's him in the womb. He really wants you to remember this womb time. It's very important to him that he was in the womb and was conscious. Okay, here's his soulmate. This book is dedicated to the one true source of light, who has stood with me through every trial and every lifetime, from creation to present, from birth to rest to rebirth. The one who breathed life into my lifeless soul with the gentlest whisper, I believe in you, come into life. This is for you, my true love, Mira. The first 3 wives weren't the real ones. Mira's the real one. Okay, so here's all these, I don't know, chapters, I guess. It's like a computer on a scale with money, and then the distant past until 1971, it was money and gold. And then he's quoting Rafiki from The Lion King. It is time. It is time to finally face the truth and continue our necessary audit of our incredibly flawed monetary system that is linked to our misunderstanding of universal mathematics. Okay, so he's into the gold standard, I guess. He likes the decimal system. Okay, love it. He likes pennies. Oh my god. This reminds me of like 4th grade. Once again, I'm like, oh, if you have 5 pennies and then you take away 1 penny, how many pennies are left? I don't know. I'm stressed. 10 pennies times 10 pennies is equivalent to 100 pennies, which is equal to $1. But a dime times a dime equals a penny, according to a calculator. Terrance. Oh my god. How would you like your money calculated? Nah? Or 3D chess? Joe Rogan, be ashamed. Okay. Oh, this is the Oxford interview that someone said was good. Oh, but then it actually just goes to his 4-minute song. Sounds kind of good. This is Terrence Howard topic. He's got so many YouTube channels. This only has 3,000 subscribers. Every time I click on a channel that he's linked, it's less and less. Where did it go? Terrance, where is your channel? Where's this magic? Okay, sorry. I'll play the episode again. I got off on a tangent. I'll keep looking through the book, though, to see if there's any more memes there for us.
And if you go to page 64, on the right side of the page, right there, on the left side of the page, you'll see the 5 Platonic solids. Now, these, all of our axioms, all of our postulates, have been built off of these things. This is what Euclid went down to Egypt and pulled these things together. Pythagoras worked on them. And these were the undisputed fundamentals of God that he used to build. If you tap onto the Flower of Life, Platonic Solids things, it's going to take you to a video. Turn it, you don't have to tap it. But it'll show you
another
the Flower of Life.
YouTube page
That they took this from. But you'll see that instead of following the natural curvature of these 64 circles overlapping, they averaged the space where they met. And they invented straight lines.
Why did they do that?
Because they believed that the world was flat.
Did you remember to lock your house this morning? What about your car? What about your bike?
Oh, I can just skip. Okay.
What?
All right, back to it.
They believed the world was flat at the time. And the church promoted. Pythagorean theorem comes off of this cube. A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
So they wanted to use all of these intertwining circles and create straight lines.
Because that's how they thought everything came down to, straight lines. They thought the world was flat. And I was like,
the cabal.
Oh my goodness. They didn't open the flower properly. So the next one would be the icosahedron.
Now, the flower of life, it's very, very old. The concept is very old. What was the origin of the concept?
It's the oldest symbol known to mankind. It's believed that it was Anki,
Not true.
the brother of Enlil, if you go by the Emerald
Sumerian
tablets.
text.
The Sumerian text, that was the one that created mankind. Because if you look at mankind, and there's a point I want to make with it. I want you to stay on the book, go to 134 on the book.
Okay.
And this is what that other gentleman being told me to do. He said, why don't you just take the pieces that make up the flower and put them together based on universal ratios. So if you want, you're able to pull it up.
164.
Page 134. 134 in the book. So this is the juxtapose of the mistake they made. Yep, just tap right onto that.
What in the fuck are we looking
just
at?
tap on it. Now, this was made by David Johnson, one of our programmers, Argos Fuel. So if you go to the far left
Our programmers?
and tap on that.
He's got a team of programmers that made this? Part-time Jitsu. I will always get your name right from now on, I promise. Part-time Jitsu. The PDF is the free ebook you get in his mailing list before he upsells you a Cobalt-backed stablecoin. We're going to the moon. That doesn't exist.
Oh, okay.
He's got very interesting beliefs, I will say. It is unique. I give him the unique card. That is rare these days to be unique, and he is. So I think he's onto something. He does have a company. Actually, that's a good point. Part-time Jitsu, you reminded me of something. He does have a company, allegedly. It's called Holly. And even though he says he's done with the acting world, he hates productions, he hates it all, he's still in it. He's got a literal startup company that is supposed to be democratizing access to the entertainment industry for talent for investors. And you can invest in it. And apparently it's like a message board or like a, you know, what do you call it? Like a board where you can put, like, I'm looking for an actor for my play. I'm looking for an actor for my music video. Because you don't have to go through an agency. You can just submit your audition and there you go. So this is his idea. And you get money. If you pay $50,000, you get credits. You get $250 credits. That seems like a stupid deal. For $50,000, you can get $250 in credits to use on the platform. You get a framed plaque signed by the executive team, 10% bonus shares, an exclusive dinner in Beverly Hills with the Holly executive team, including Terrance and Mira. So here's Terrance and his wife, and then Andrew, don't know who that is, Kelly, Arthur, and Chris. There you go. You can invest whatever. How do you calculate? This is like apparently a legitimate thing in the sense of you can make a deal. You can pay for this stuff. I don't know. Very interesting. Seems more normal than the other stuff seems more normal than the other stuff he's doing. You can't pause the video, but I'll let it play for a second.
We're doing away with all of the greed and the corruption that's prevented us from becoming a global community of artists. We're building bridges, new opportunities, New Hollywood. Truth is, I love all of this. From the acting to the writing to the lighting.
So there you go. I don't know. It seems not in line with his current interests, but it does exist, and it is linked in his bio. So he does have apparently some interest in it, because that's the only thing linked in his bio, I believe. You can scroll up. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, I lied. The app, live shows, and then he did another event. What is this? Pop Shop. Oh, yeah. You can buy... I'm not even making this up, obviously. You can buy Day Glow Serum, Vitamin C Serum by SoulCeuticals for $24. And he promises it'll work. And here's him and his wife using it.
30.
I was here at 3:30.
What, are we live already?
So they're just hawking products. So he's smarter than Einstein. He's got the secrets to shapes in the world, and what they're going to do instead of, going and doing lectures at colleges, they're going to sell coats to you on Pop Shop Live.
And when you take away the length of what happens here at the forearm, then you again push it a little bit further. So
Sounds like that makes sense to me. I like that coat, actually. I would never wear it, but it looked good on him. He's got fashion sense. He's pretty fashionable. So is she. Just do this. Oh, wow, so cute. I start buying products. This crazy man who's accused of domestic abuse. Let me buy something real quick, though, because it's pretty cute. All right. Sorry. Distracted again. Back to it. Okay, and then he's got old events that have been an evening with Terrence Howard. He'll shoot you with a bow saw. A bow and arrow. He'll shoot you right in the face for $50. Okay. Back to it. Sorry.
on that, I took 4 of those triangles. And wow. And you can scroll around. This is what happens when 4 bubbles meet. This is the negative space where they can't touch each other.
Bubbles.
This is hydrogen.
Purple.
And as I was saying, electricity is always trying to get to the center of that triangle. But it gets pushed out. And now you see it has 4 contractive poles, which is the electric poles. Just go around it from like horizontally, yeah. It has 4 contractive poles because electricity is seeking a higher pressure condition and forcing it in. Where magnetism is seeking a lower pressure condition and spun out. So the vortices, those tips, that's the magnetic field. That's where they begin. But it has an equal attractor and an equal amount of repulsion. So if you go to what happens when 8 bubbles meet, they gave me the patents to that. I called that the tetrient.
8 bubbles.
This is the negative space in between 8 bubbles.
8 bubbles. This is the negative space where 8 bubbles meet, and you can scroll around.
And this is ignored when they're concentrating on straight lines.
Completely, because this, if you look from the top, I haven't violated anything. It fits perfectly inside of there. But this is the negative space where 8 bubbles meet, but you'll notice it has 8 contractive poles, but it only has 6 magnetic poles, 6 vortices, so it has a greater electrical potential than a repulsion. So maybe this is the strong nuclear force, and the previous one was the weak nuclear force. So I was like, okay, I called this the Huntian after my son. So I was like, what happens when 6 bubbles meet? If you'll go to the one right in the center.
6 bubbles. What happens when they meet?
Now you see that it has these huge bubbles, fast moving, but there's 6 strong spheres that's going around this, but the greater attractor has grabbed the 2 weaker attractors. And this looks just like a photon, and guess what? It has 30 poles. What is the speed of light? 299,752,400 something. They rounded off to 300 million kilometers per second square. Woo. But if you look at it from the top, you'll see that I haven't violated anything.
Sorry.
This looks like what happens in nature. So I was like, okay, so they gave me the patents to this, but you'll see that there's 6 unaccounted electrical poles to it. So I was like, what happens when 12 bubbles meet if you go to the one right next to it? Another stable structure that we basically see in nature, but there's 4 unaccounted electrical poles to it. 4 spin around it. You can count those 4. You'll see 1 at the bottom and 3 on those sides. This is the basis of crystallization, laws of crystallization that forms. And you can go to the last one. I was like, what happens when 24 bubbles meet?
That's a good quote.
This is the negative space. If you pull to a horizontal on it, this is a negative space where 24 bubbles meet. This is where you cannot distinguish this from the background because all of the electrical potential has been accounted for. This would be the Bose-Einstein condensate where something becomes indistinguishable from the fabric.
Okay, he's got a flat versus round. Now, I would imagine that given his other beliefs that he would be a flat earther. But apparently he's believes in the round earth. So that's good, I think. What is this? What is this? This is like Schoolhouse Rock meme. Okay, this is let's see. Quote, I think that somebody made a mistake with this part of math. 2 times 2 equals 4. And then the description says, the teacher stood there for a moment with a look of utter confusion upon her face, and I now understand that deep down inside she wanted to say 1 times 1 couldn't equal 2 because of the identity property, but maybe she didn't fully understand the concept of irrational numbers. Huh? Okay, so this is him in the 3rd or 4th grade. It's so funny. He's like, well, it wasn't until the 3rd or 4th grade that this question came up again concerning the accuracy of 1 times 1. If you remember when you were 6 months developing in the womb, you wouldn't remember if you were in the 3rd or 4th grade when you had a vivid memory. So he's still talking about 1 times 1, that it doesn't make sense. I don't really know about the flat earth. He doesn't seem to explain it at all. And then this says, the road to hell is often paved with good intentions, written in cursive. Okay. Interesting. Oh! Here's Walter Nernst, Albert Einstein, Max Planck, Robert Milken, and Max von Loo at a dinner in 1931. And then if you see here, a human embryo, a chicken embryo, and a fish embryo look the same. Therefore, humans are chicken-fish hybrids. Okay, there's something. Here's some tornadoes and that periodic table that we looked at earlier. Here's the other periodic table that he hates, doesn't agree with. Here are some elements. Okay, colored. There you go. A candle. Giraffe. Just there, chilling, eating some leaves from a different photo. Let's hear what sound has to say on the matter. Okay. I'm just going to all the pictures pages. Bones, waveforms, galaxies, dominoes. I don't know what that is. The Hadron Collider. A brief history of Babylonian logic and a glimpse into their daily lives. Okay, let me read this. This just looks interesting. Babylonians weren't that tall on average. They were more wide and girth in nature. If someone dared to say that about me, I would cry. It has been reported that they called themselves the dark-haired people because they had darker eyes than their neighbors, darker hair, and darker skin. Most of the clothing they wore was made from animal byproducts. Therefore, they had a certain pungent smell to foreigners, primarily because the region was quite warm and rather dry, and woolen garments retained heat. As a result, perfumes, incense, fragrances, and oils were very common articles of trade that were imported and manufactured by the inhabitants of that ancient city. The historical city of Babylon was located where Iraq stands today, a land also known as Mesopotamia, which may give the reader a better visual perspective of the climate and the difficulties that one might encounter being forced to scratch out an existence in such an arid and inhospitable environment. The entire population had a responsibility to contribute to the prosperity and welfare of the city. They lived under a socialistic form of government. They did not trade in currency, but incorporated a system of bartering, exchanging food or livestock, wool, tools, jewelry, and whatnots. In return for their dedication and sacrifices, the government made sure that everyone had food, clothing, and suitable housing. Is this accurate? I don't know. It seems as though they had a very successful socialist society for quite some time. Okay. The family structure was more traditional in nature than practiced by most modern-day families. Arranged marriages, stay-at-home moms, father worked while boys were schooled, and girls remained home with their mothers, learning the art of homemaking. Okay, I feel like there's a persuasive element here that we're waiting for. Babylonian medicine. Babylonian medicine was governed by the Code of Hammurabi. The code carried with it some rather harsh penalties for medical and surgical therapeutic failure. They had surgeries back in Babylonian times? Okay. I don't know about that. There is no clear indication that the physician actually understood anything related to the real nature of the ailment they may have encountered, except in the more obvious cases or even the true function of the organs affected. Among the long list of available remedies, a few like oil for stiff limbs or milk for stomach troubles, saltpeter and crushed ostrich shell for kidney stones may have been beneficial. What does this have to do with 1 × 1 = 2? Okay, all right, sorry, keep reading. But some of the remedies employed seem to be entirely valueless. This may even have been realized at that time, as indicated by the seeming indifference with which the physician moved through a long list of medications, shifting from one to another for the same disease. Therefore, while these tablets have revealed a wide range of observed diseases and extensive list of herbs and minerals in the physician's pharmacopoeia, is that the correct pronunciation? There was not a systematic fund of knowledge of the human body, and neither was there any rational consideration of disease. The causes of disease and the application of remedies as conceived by the physician were so intertwined with belief and supernatural forces that a rational understanding of the organs and functions of the human body was not likely or even possible. It is evident that primitive folk medicine, with all of its superstitions, completely dominated the medical teaching of the ancient Mesopotamians, just as such superstitions suffused their general outlook on the natural world. Okay, who gives a fuck? What does this matter? What does this matter? They're showing the a calendar, astronomy, again, back to square root of this, the calculator. Okay, we got Universal Pictures has provided this photo from Back to the Future. All right, sorry for wasting everyone's time. That was a waste of my goddamn time. Yeah. And this is the most interesting one to me. The computer on the scales of justice. All right, back to it. I'm sorry.
From the fabric of space itself, the final state of matter. Something, and the proof of this, the Platonic solids, they have a thing called discrete symmetry. You can put the cubes together, maybe you can put the dodecahedrons together, but you can't put all of them together. But you can take the wave conjugations right here, and they form supersymmetrical systems where everything aligns. So there's a site that James sent over to you, and this will be the final thing, and then I'll be quiet for a second. But
Please,
because this is the final. This right here. Now these are other sculptures I've built. There's a video, and you'll see that flower. If you'll pop it up from Terry's linchpins that he sent you, you'll see.
Back it up, Terry!
This is one of 4 supersymmetrical systems that I patented. And the reason I patented it was because when Walter Russell put his stuff up, just go down a little bit,
Look at his
and we're going to
Instagram.
get to gravity. Not that one. We're going to get to gravity in a second. Not that one. We're not even there yet. There.
Not gravity.
Tetrotarian wave conjugations. Now, these are all of those systems put together. This is where 12 bubbles meet, the Aubrians.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put 5 of them together, and they make these natural starfish. But then when I put 10 of them together, they lay themselves out, and they predict all distribution of matter within the electric field. And you can see where 6 bubbles meet as you get to a higher point on it. Those where 6 bubbles are meeting, still fitting perfectly where the 12 bubbles are meeting, and where the 4 and where the 8. That's a super symmetrical system. I put 12. If I put 20 of those where 6 bubbles meet, the Antonians, they make a natural dodecahedron that's naturally curved. If I take where the 12 bubbles meet, that's where I made the linchpin from. Ultimately from some of those pieces you got right there, that all shape of it. So that was one of the first things. But when Walter Russell came out with his book and he introduced his periodic table, he watched as different people went up and collected Nobel Prizes for deuterium, for tritium, for all these things that he had discovered. And I was like, okay, let me wait until the patents are granted before I'll talk about it, so that they won't be able to stop it. But what makes more sense? Where they invented straight lines in opening the flower, or where you actually take the individual pieces of the flower and put it together based on universal ratios? Which one do you think is how the givers of that knowledge intended for us to use it?
Well, it makes sense because you're accounting for the negative space and the straight lines are not.
Bingo.
Yeah, that it must be something. And so
Joe Rogan, shut up. I don't understand what he's even trying to do. Like, give this guy like any sort of like praise or like don't encourage the man. What are you doing? Oh yeah, the gaps and the bubbles. What are we even freaking talking about? Also, the comments on this stuff are so concerning to me. This one says, this is about this interview that we've been listening to for only, if you can believe it, we've only listened for 38 minutes out of 3 hours. I feel like it's been 10 lifetimes. The comments are, just heard you on Joe Rogan's podcast, Terrance. A fantastic overview of how our planets and universe are created. Very enlightening perspective. You've got me hooked. I hope to learn more from you in the future. Please keep grinding. Okay, let's see what this guy looks like. Seemingly normal. Okay. Steve, what are you doing? Get a grip. Okay, this person. I watched this in its entirety last night, and I was so excited to see Terrance get the proper recognition and space to discuss his genius. Okay, let's see this person. Homeschool advocate, marine mom, autism advocacy, travel savvy. Okay, it's like a meme page or something. Okay, get a grip. Also, the consequences of manipulating the universe. What is rarity? Proximity for meaning. What is the money? Proxy for rarity. The lessons will well learn. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Great interview. Can't wait to see your newer applications applied in everyday life. Loved how simple it was for you to talk about how an advanced civilization would use decoupling as a mean of travel. Keep up God's work. Welp, I'ma binge and immerse myself. You, sir, will be seen in the human history just as the Anunnaki and the Sumerians. You will be out rebirth as a society if people listen. I applaud you for your tenacity and for not taking all this knowledge and destroying the world. I want to find a way to be involved, but all being with God-like behavior in myself and looking for it, or being an influence of it in others. Thank you, Terrance. As an artist, musician who understands that both crafts use numbers and arithmetic, your words and theories on the Joe Rogan podcast resonated with me on so many levels, Mr. Howard. I am curious to hear what your thoughts are on the Fibonacci sequence and how it relates to your brilliant work. The Fibonacci sequence is found in all nature and is the basic foundation of many artists and musicians' work. It is also a vortex spiral that multiplies or expands like a fractal. Can't wait to see what comes next. Absolutely amazing. Mind-blowing presentation. Oh my God. Like, are you all right? Are you all, like, going through something right now? Not one negative comment? Can't be. Who the hell is this? Okay, this is Terrence Howard. He may be a genius, but he does not understand that you don't need 75 social media pages. He has 18 YouTube channels that don't correlate. He's got 49 Instagrams. I'm so confused. Okay, so let's see. Where was I just clicking here? Come see what we've been doing. Okay, then I click on this one. It's a different Instagram called Terry's Linchpins. Okay, and then it says Linchpin plays a vital, fundamental role in the manifestation of our universe. Managed for Terrence Howard with love. But okay, so this person manages the account for Terrence. Okay, I'm more confused. Nutton says Saturday night in WNC like a rodeo. I always say that. I'm constantly saying that. I'm so confused. And he's a slap fiddle in a band. He's got another Instagram. And a professional photographer, videographer, content creator in Asheville. And this is his website. This is a person who runs the account for Terrence. And I guess this is his band. So if you're in the Asheville area and you want to direct connect to Terrence Howard's, you know, smarter than Einstein genius, there you go. Besties. It says, grateful to get my destiny tangled with this cat's. Almost 2 years of mad science sting together, and we finally sat still long enough to snap a photo of the two of us. The dust has settled on the day, but the storm has hardly even begun brewing. So much to be grateful for. All right. I'm so confused. And this is a different thing that's like related to Terrence also. Actually, no, this is his patent. This one is different. Sorry. This one is someone who's saying that his patent is nonsense. Apparently he's created a ring. I don't know. All right, back to it. Sorry.
And so, and then these are all physical representations that you've created?
Yep.
That are all of those things?
Same things. That's the Aubryan right there.
How is this received? Like when you talk to people
badly.
about this?
Oh, man, they first, because I didn't show them, I hadn't shown them, I introduced it with, let's talk about our fundamentals are a little bit off. There are no straight lines.
Right.
So I reached out to Neil deGrasse Tyson. I saw him at an event up front, at Fox. And he was like, hey, man, yeah, I'd love for you to come on my show, do my radio, do my TV thing. I would love that. I was like, yeah, but I've got something I want to introduce to you. And it was only 36 pages. It was a treatise. And I told him it was controversial. And I sent him over the 36-page thing that had the wave conjugations in it. But I started it off with 1 × 1 = 2. And he went in on my treatise, redlined everything. He attacked that I had talked about Walter Russell and Victor Schauberger and John Keeley and Tesla as the people that I looked up to. He attacked them, but then he started attacking, the 1 times 1 equaling 2.
How did he attack them?
Oh, he was because I asked him. I said, under what conditions? I said it's illogical where the square root of a number added to itself will equal more than that number squared. But that's what happens with the square root of 2. That's what happens with most of the numbers. I was like, how is it that multiplication, if it means to make more and increase a number, how is 1 times 1 equaling 1 part of the multiplication table? Now, I understand that if you're seeing it one time,
right?
But we call that once. But the moment that you had that add the times in there, that multiplicative indicator, that means there is more than 1. So now each equation is supposed to be better.
This is the content I want. This is the content that I like. Okay, Terrance, just more of this. More Santa twerking. Less 1 times 1 isn't working. Okay? Please. For the love of God.
To be balanced, that equal sign is supposed to show that there's a balance between these 2 numbers over here and a balance on this 1 over here. What happened to the other 1 in this equation? It didn't equate. And then I took the square root of that number. I took the square root of 2, because all this started in 3rd grade. I was arguing with my teacher because we were talking about the square root of 100. Oh my God.
Is that your phone?
Yeah, that's my detox thing. I'm supposed to detox right now.
How do you detox? You detox on a timer? What do you do?
There's my wife got me these.
Okay, I think I can get this clip on YouTube, and I think I want to show it because this is talking about the parasite part, which I find to be so funny. So he's like, my wife got me on this detox, and he's got an alarm that goes off that he has to take his heavy metal parasite detox. So hopefully you don't get shut down immediately from Joe Rogan. But let's see. Joe Rogan. And I think it's a product that we've seen before. I'm pretty sure. Okay, here you go. Wait. Oh yeah, here it is. I think.
Because all this started.
Stand by. Here we go.
In 3rd grade, I was arguing with my teacher because we were talking about the square root of 100. Oh my God.
Is that your phone?
Yeah, that's my detox thing. I'm supposed to detox right now.
How do you detox? You detox on a timer? What do you do?
My wife got me these things. I'm supposed to take this.
What is that?
And
Pure Body Extract.
And there's another one.
Advanced Daily Set.
Touchstone Essentials Pure Body Extra Natural Nano-Sized Zeolite Colloidal Zeolite Suspension Oral Spray Advanced Daily Cellular Detox. Okay. Mallory, wherever you are, Mallory, we need you to debunk this detox. Let's see. I wonder if it's an MLM. That would just be the icing on top. What is it called? Touchstone Essentials. I bet these sold out like crazy. Okay, Touchstone Essentials. Whole body detox for the whole family. Oh, it says collaborate. That's never good. Collaborate. The gig economy. Affiliate. Brand ambassador. Success on the seas. All right, guys, we have our vacations planned. We're going to go on the Touchstone Essentials Parasite Detox cruise. What in the fucking universe is this now? Okay, we're going to mute that. It's a fake sea. Success on the seas with a motion graphic deck. Okay. AI boat. Set sail in the sunshine. Okay, November, everyone. Get your calendars out. Get your planners out. November 16th to the 21st, you have plans. You're going to the Grand Cayman and Jamaica. On Royal Caribbean. 2, detox yourself from. Learn more to get cruise qualified. This is definitely an MLM. This is 100% MLM. It's got to be. What does the cruise qualified mean in any other context other than an MLM? This could be you if you sell out your entire personality, all your friends and family, and pay us millions of dollars over time. Okay. Embark from Miami, blah, blah, blah. Okay. This is your itinerary. Oh my God. What the hell? How to get cruise qualified. The tropical getaway can be yours. Qualification for the Success on the Seas starts March 2024. Okay, we're too late. The 5-month qualification period runs through March through July. To be eligible for the trip, you must be at the rank of director and above, achieve the required number of sailing points, have 10 total personal enrollments, and achieve a minimum level of volume from your enrollments during the qualification period. Okay, this is all very clear as any MLM point system has ever been. Tier 1, 1,000 points, included 2 cruise points, circles. Tier 2, 4,000 sailing points, what's included 2 cruise coins and 2 airfare coins. Okay, Tier 3, 7,500 points, 2 cruise points, coins, and 2 airfare yellow coins. You got to get 20. So you have to personally enroll people into buying this crap, okay, that Terrence Howard is hawking on Joe Rogan's podcast. Oh my God. The plot thickens, like, so much, so often, that the shit is like, I don't know. It always leads back to this. It's all manipulation. It's all convincing people to give you their money. It's all a scam. Like, this is the true matrix of our society. That Terrence Howard goes on there thinking he's revealing secrets of the universe because he needs to get on medication of some sort. He goes on there and says, oh, here's this is 8 million views on this video of Terrence Howard, 3 hours talking nonsense. Shows an MLM product that is now getting us to look at this website and understand, oh, there's a cruise I can be on. It's so crazy. This is the scam. Everything comes back to you're trying to get ripped off at every turn. This is crazy. I need to do a video about this, like, much more in depth about this whole thing, because this is just too funny. I'm sure his wife is like a rep, distributor. They're trying to hawk stuff. I mean, she's trying to hawk, stuff on Instagram, the both of them. He's trying to now sell protein powders and supplements. This is crazy. What is this? This is garbage. God, it's not even a good one. Like, Monet at least looks appealing on the website. This just looks like garbage. All right, sorry. Back to it. Let's watch it. Here you go. You can buy this from Terrence Howard. Be in Terrence Howard's downline.
Cellular detox. What's in this?
He doesn't know.
And this too.
What's in this stuff?
Nothing.
Just things to counteract the natural the metals that we have in our bodies that wear us out.
And you just take these periodically throughout the day on a timer?
I got to do it now.
Okay.
I take a dropper, part of that dropper, and then 4 sprays, and it removes the parasites from your system.
Okay, another rant. This guy wants us to believe that he's so smart that he is not going to be convinced by Albert Einstein. Okay, Albert Einstein is he did not figure it out. He is not a fool to believe that Albert Einstein knew everything. He's not a fool to think Pythagorean theorem is real. He has the true, he can see through the veil. He got the message from above when he was 5 years old, so he understands everything. He can never be tricked by this matrix that we live in. However, he's hawking an MLM product that 99% of all people lose money by joining. You can't see through that bullshit? Come on. It's too simple to make fun of these people. I'm telling you. It's too easy. Okay, so let's skip ahead. We just saw this segment.
These things.
So he's showing this the
Cellular detox.
supplements.
What's in there? Throughout the day on a
Yeah,
timer?
I got to do it now. I got to do it.
Okay.
I take a dropper, part of that dropper, and then 4 sprays, and it
He takes them periodically throughout the day. Okay, that's good. Malene Nix, that's funny. Oh boy. Okay.
it removes the parasites from your system.
Funny.
Like oil of oregano, like using oil of oregano instead of using antibiotics.
And have you felt an effect?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah,
What do you
of
feel
course.
when you take
Well,
this stuff?
Placebo.
I used to have really thick, dark circles under my eyes. That's gone away in the.
I used to have brown eyes. And ever since I started taking this MLM product, I have beautiful gray eyes. I've seen pictures of you as a child. It seems like you've always had these eyes. Look away from that. That's the false reality playing out in
Last
your
6
mind.
months I've been using that. My skin, I'm 55 years old. I'm 55 years old and I smoke.
Why?
Do I look like I'm 55
No,
years
you don't.
old?
You look great. And you think that's because of this?
I think, well, I'm going to show you a picture of what I used to look like when my wife met me. And I don't know if you could. She'll be mad if I throw this up, but she's a beautiful one. But this is what I looked like when
I need to see this.
my
Let me
wife
see.
met me. I was 256 pounds.
No way.
Were you eating differently?
No.
I was, well, now I'm intermittent fasting. I follow her routine.
Of course.
But she turned me from that into this. It's like she shined up.
Yeah, you look
within me.
about 15 years younger. Now.
Yeah, and that's because of her. I still smoke my cigarettes.
Why do you do that?
Yeah, why?
I'm a crackhead. I don't know. Everybody has to have some vice. Like Alan Watts said, you got to have.
Okay, you're on a regimen so strict that you have to interrupt a professional podcast. Okay, professional is a strong word, but you interrupt a podcast to take the, supplement that's hawked by a unreputable MLM company, but you smoke cigarettes and just brush it off like, well, everyone's gonna have a vice. Okay. My goodness. These people don't hear themselves. They don't hear themselves, I guess, or just choose to ignore, basic logic. That's when people, I have nothing against drinking at all, but people who claim to be I will not touch, a, salt that's not this special organic Celtic salt from, Madagascar's caves because I am so against toxicity, but I drink Bush Light on the weekend. What do you mean? Shut up then. Just do whatever you want, but stop making it seem like, oh, I'm pure, but then secretly or with no actual guilt about it at all or feelings about it, drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes. It's you're just like the rest of us. Stop acting special, okay? I want to find a picture of him, but I can't. I'm looking, so I'll get it.
Some balance of beneficence and rascality to you.
We have a fan in here, by the way. If you wanted to smoke in
Yeah,
here, you're
no.
more than welcome to.
I don't trust people,
Great.
that walk around, people get so offended by gurus a lot of times and yogis because they think they're these calm and passive people, and when they get angry, they're like, oh, that was a directed anger. That was a purposeful anger to wake you up to something. And then they find out they have a girlfriend. They find out that they smoke, and they're like, oh,
Vices.
this is a lie.
Right.
But that's the real person. That's what I loved about Alan Watts. He had a wife, and he had his mistresses. He ended up dying with one of his girlfriend and his wife, off in his little place. But he spoke the truth. He was honest. Life is about the give and take. There's a balance in there,
To be human is to be flawed.
It's to be beautiful.
Yeah, it's part of the beauty of us. And it's part of the why we create. I don't think you create from a perfect place of enlightenment. I think part of the chaos of being a human being is
Joe.
the beauty of the creation. It's why we create. The most fucked up people, the best artists are some of the most fucked up people. My favorite musicians, my favorite comedians, my favorite actors.
So we should
almost
do
all
that?
of them are fucked up.
Yeah, my uncle used to call it.
So we should just try to get fucked up when we have a choice and go, well, whatever. The best people are fucked up. It's like, okay, let's strive to like not hurt ourselves for no reason. Okay, here's the picture.
I was 256 pounds.
I hope they show it.
Were you eating differently?
Show the picture.
I was.
What the hell? What a bad podcast. Show the gosh darn picture.
15 years younger. Now.
Yeah, and that's because of her.
All right, well, that was a waste of time. Sorry. Okay.
He said, if you don't get any flower to grow unless you throw some shit on it.
So back to Neil deGrasse Tyson and his critique of
so
Tesla.
He threw shit on he was like, well, Tesla stuff worked, but Tesla was never really respected and out there, and I guess he wanted me to support Bohr or Schringer or Feynman or any of those people. And I'm looking at the Feynman diagrams. I'm like, you made all these things up. You're basically doing the Mr. Spock thing. If you want to find the answer to something, then you cancel out all the possibilities, all other possibilities, and you root it down to one thing. So that means going through the whole universe to answer one question. And that's the problem with probability. That's the problem with Heisenberg uncertainty. That's the problem with Schrodinger. All of those were just these probabilities because they had taken the ether out. They forgot the electromagnetic wave. Mm-hmm. It had to have a medium in which it followed on. It had to have something in which it was moving on.
They don't exist in isolation.
No, they do not. And it cannot be the cause of its own action. An effect can never be the cause of the action. The chicken cannot come the egg cannot come before the chicken. The chicken has to be there first in order to lay it. It has to mate. And what Einstein left out was the equal and opposite of magnetism. So back to Neil deGrasse, when he wrote his response to my paper, and he said, if you have any other questions, you're going to have to see somebody else, and he wouldn't take my calls anymore. I was like, okay. So I wrote the book based off of those responses, and I reached out to another guy, Dr. David.
He wouldn't take my calls anymore. Can you go into more detail about that? What happened? He wouldn't take my calls anymore. Let's just move on. Okay. Got it.
Tongue.
But that would be very, very interesting that would be his take as a public educator, that he wouldn't want to talk to you anymore.
The reason I wanted to talk...
Joe Rogan is such an, he's not even an idiot. He just is such a liar in this interview. Like, he's provocative now. He never used to be like this. Like, I remember him back in the day being curious about things. Like, I thought, at least, maybe I was just in my delusional era, as they say. But I remember him being like, just kind of, interested in random things. And I thought that was interesting. But now it's like he's just trying to push an agenda so hard, like, so weird that a public professor wouldn't want to talk to you, right? Isn't that weird? No, this guy was probably calling him 24 hours a day and saying that 1 + 1 = 2 and, just going off in insane tangents. And this guy's like, I don't have time for this. Like, who is this guy? Nobody. He's an actor, like an actor with problems, a lot of problems. It's like, what is Joe Rogan, that's why he's exploiting Terrence Howard, because Joe Rogan knows that there is no validity to any of this. He is just pushing this guy to try to say something crazy, I guess, for views. I don't know. It's very annoying because I feel like, at least I'm being honest. I'm trying to be like, this guy is not stable. This is bad for him to have these delusions about himself and about the world, and his life is going to be harder for it. And then someone like Joe Rogan's gonna put him on his podcast, know that he's not okay, but like almost feed into it and just try to make him become more delusional. It seems wrong to me. Anyways,
talk to him was because of his show, The Cosmos, that he was doing after that incredible guy, Carl Sagan did. The very first episode he had was talking about Giordano Bruno. And he said that Giordano Bruno was looking for that grand unified field equation, and maybe one day somebody is going to do it. And when they do it, it's going to change the world. And I'm like, dude, I've done it. I've got it here. He attacked it with such vitriol that I was like, oh, okay, maybe I need to walk away from this. Dr. David Tong from Cambridge, a professor at Cambridge, did a video on physics of the world, and he said it's all a lie. And he explained that there was these 16 fields, that everything that they had taught was this, and they gave the best understanding and interpretation that they had of it. But it was all a lie because they didn't understand how it worked. Why? Because the Michelson-Morley experiment from 1887, where they were trying to define the ether or the earth in this etheric space. Problem was they kept with Newtonian laws, so they thought the ether didn't move. They thought it was still. But there was another guy, Larmor, that did it in early 1800s, and he went off of Thomas Young, who influenced the Fresnel lens, influenced Fresnel, came up with the Fresnel lens. But he talked about a moving ether that had opposing vortices. So I didn't learn all of this stuff until I was getting ready to have conversations with people, because I was looking, where has this work been done? But if you look at Giordano Bruno's work,
the thing is too, like, I don't even know what he's talking about at this point. Like, I've lost the thread. But like when he's saying, I asked this physicist to look at my work and he just ripped it apart with such vitriol. It's like, what do you think science is, dude? That's science. Like, science is supposed to be a process of people looking at work and ripping it to shreds so that it can become better and can become more true, more right, more accurate over time. You stand on the shoulders of giants from the past and you build and build and build, and it's how technology works. You build a camera, okay, it takes 200 years to get to where we're doing HD live streaming as we speak. It's like, this doesn't happen overnight. And then so for him to say, I have the solution to everything, and then to give it in good faith, allegedly, to someone who has experience in this, and then the guy to take it and go, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. That is the way science works. And as this man, actor, claims to be a science enthusiast, literally in this thing, again, 8 million views just on YouTube alone, a researcher in the fields of logic and engineering, cannot handle someone saying you've made a mistake, then you're not a true scientist. I'm sorry, you're not even a cosplay scientist. You are just someone who is an egomaniac that is off the hinges.
Looks a lot like my stuff. But he still had straight lines, and I think he put those straight lines in there to appease the church.
Oh, wow.
So that he wouldn't get killed.
Oh, my God.
And they still killed him. They hung him upside down.
Hello?
In 1600, the Catholic Church, 1599, hung him upside down in a stake and set him on fire. Because he refused to recant that the God that they were talking about was not the true God of the universe. It was much larger than that. Their story went back 6,000 years. And there's other traditions and tribes around the world where their stories go back 200,000 years.
Come here.
And they made a lot more sense. So how have we limited ourselves? You take Noah having 3 sons, Shem, Japheth, and Ham, and one was black, one was Asian, and one was white. Does that make sense to you? But we subscribe to that. We ascribe to that dogma, and everybody's entitled to whatever opinion they want to have. I don't think that.
Yeah, the church only likes straights. Lines, I mean. Okay. Sorry, I needed a moment of levity there.
Opinion is right.
We're going off in so many different directions.
But
I
Neil
do want
deGrasse
to talk
Tyson-
about this.
okay.
I do want to get to this because I would love to know what you believe happened. But the Neil deGrasse Tyson thing is so confusing to me. That he was critical of Tesla.
He was critical of Tesla. He was critical of Walter Russell, and he was critical of John Keeley.
This is not his field of study, though, right?
No, he's astrophysicist. He's an astrophysicist. But Walter Russell talked about that the Earth. Walter Russell talked about the fact that the sun gave birth to the Earth, that it didn't coalesce from some field, and the proof of this. Do you guys know that the Earth is drifting away from the sun?
Yeah, slightly.
This is the mistake I made at the Oxford because they wouldn't allow me to bring my notes or anything. So I said the drift was 6 inches a year. It's 0.6 inches a year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you add up how long it would take the Earth to move, and all of the planets in every solar system is drifting away from their primary at this same exact rate. Like 1.5 centimeters. So this is a universal expansion that's happening with everything moving away.
Yeah, good
so them saying the Webb telescope have proven that those galaxies couldn't have formed 13, 14 billion years ago. But if you would just add up linearly how long it would take the Earth to go from the sun to 93 million miles away, it's 9 trillion. Hold on.
Let's go.
I did all of the little calculations.
These are not little calculations.
Hold on, done.
Little in the sense of worthwhile for anyone's time. Also, Terrance has said multiple times, and he will say it, and has said it in his book. I just read it 25 times, that calculators are wrong, that calculators lied to us because they are based on a illogical system of 1 × 1 = 1. So therefore, calculators are all lying. So why is he doing a calculation on his iPhone?
I love that expression, but
well, man, don't turn my phone off. Don't do that. Every time I get ready, because I know they're watching me right now, and they're mad at me.
Who's they?
The people that our entire world economy is based off of the politicians and the authorities that give the politicians their accreditation. And those authorities.
He's a gang stalking. He believes his phone is watching him, and so he's trying to click on something to look at. He's going to calculate the universal calculations or whatever they're doing, and the phone turns off because he flicked it weird, and now it's the government trying to shut it down because they're worried that I am too powerful and that the money system of the world will be corrupted if this information gets out while I'm speaking for hours of anything I want to say on the number one, at least in the past, podcast in the entire world out loud, but the government's going to shut down my phone, or the cabal or whatever is also watching me. You're on a fucking podcast right now. That's who's watching you. Don't worry about your phone being I don't know. It's just like, this is like, again, like narcissistic personality disorder, but it's not even a joke in the sense of, oh, this guy's a narcissist. Like, this person's suffering from a disorder, in my opinion. Like, this is like how grandiose your life becomes, where any inconvenience that happens, like if there, I see this stuff on like Instagram all the time now, where like there'll be a tower or something, like a water tower or something, and these people who are probably going through some sort of psychotic episode record it and go, see, this is proof. Or they'll see someone walking by and they'll say, this person is watching me and stalking me, and it's like, they need help, and you're watching this as like a voyeur. Like, I'm watching this like going, ooh, this is weird. This is what this is on the grandest scale in the world, and we're calling this entertainment, which is sad. Okay, sorry.
Those universities are all based, their entire curriculum is based off the Platonic solids. And our world economy is based off of 1 times 1 equaling 1.
You think they fuck with your phone?
Oh, I'm sure of it, because now I have to turn it off for a
Do you
second.
ever drop your phone?
You
ever drop your phone?
I've dropped my phone a number of times, but...
You ever think that might be what's going on with your phone?
And then I buy another phone, and the same thing happens. I'm 5
you get
minutes...
burners?
I used to, but then my wife would think I was cheating.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I don't need that. I don't need that.
Yeah,
I made
probably
that
a good
mistake
idea.
way too early, in our relationship, and it cost me 8 years of toil and pain. But I ultimately made it back, and I'm so glad that, we produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat. Women are born with 200 to 500,000 eggs in each of their ovaries. They don't get any more. The amount of buildup, the need to reproduce for males is great, and we're 98.7% identical
Welcome, Hawkbit
to simians,
37?
to chimpanzees. What do they have? They have a harem by nature.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a 1.3% differentiation between us and them, and that 1.3% is supposed to dominate over the 98. I'm just glad I'm 55 now, and sperm production has slowed down.
So he admitted to cheating on his wife, his now current wife. He made this mistake before, so now he's not going to buy a burner phone because the government's out to get him, but he's not going to cheat on his wife again, or at least have her think he's cheating. And because sperm is forcing him to do it. Okay, that makes sense. This all tracks. Great.
You could always get a phone that you don't use as anything other than contact a couple
Get a calculator.
Yeah, but that would work. But I'm like, if they're going to hear, they're going to hear.
Yeah, well, that is an issue. So
this is the math. This is the math. So it would.
So he's trying to. So Joe Rogan knows that this is passed now into crazy territory. Not that it already has in reality, but he knows that this will cross a line for even more people. That he believes that the phone is listening in, and that dropping the phone is not a realistic option for why this phone is having a glitch or whatever. And so he's trying to push it along to help Terrance help himself. How convenient for him. Once again, he is trying to push the narrative that this person could be a genius. They could be onto something. And when he starts saying crazy stuff, he goes, okay, let's move it along here. That's good. That's good, Joe Rogan. That's really open-minded to letting people that have the truth, as you claim to want to, spread.
But so 5,280 feet in a mile, 12 inches in a foot. Therefore, it's 1 mile equals 63,360 inches. So the number of years that it would take for the Earth to move 1 mile is 105,600 years. So in order for the Earth to reach where we are at 93 million miles.
Joms, you're so funny. Joms says 1 phone times 1 phone equals 2 phones. Mind blown. Oh my God. We need to rewrite textbooks.
It would take 9,820,800,000,000 years for the Earth to get here.
So funny.
Likewise, Mars, at 147 million miles away from the sun, it would take 15,780,480,000,000 years for Mars to get where it was. So at a given point, Mars was here in the Goldilocks zone. And now Venus is going to inherit the Goldilocks zone next. The sun will give, Mercury is under a higher pressure because they're still under the mistake thinking that there's a void in space. So they forget that Mercury is under the highest pressure possible. So it can expand. It's like hydrogen. It's like those octaves before hydrogen. So the atmosphere, the iron isn't able to release any oxygen and the oxides, but when you get to 67 million miles away from the sun, the pressure is a little less, but it's still so much higher than the pressure on Earth. It's like going deep into the very belly of the Earth. That pressure is so very high. And so now the clouds, there's a great deal of sulfur, there's a great deal of ammonia and all of those things in it. But once Earth moves to where Mars is, Venus is going to slowly move and will be right here. In maybe 5 or 6 trillion years, Venus will be right here, and humanoids will appear again and unwind the same way. And that asteroid belt that we have right now between Mars and Jupiter, that used to be a planet. And I believe that they had humanoids that developed on there, the same way that everything, that's the periodic table. They call it the periodic table because these things happen according to periodicity. They happen under regular events. You change the motion and pressure conditions, the crystallization changes. We call it a different element, but it's the same substance. Like my hand is one substance, but if I do it like this and do it like this and do it like this, it looks like a whole different thing. And they can call it a different element, but it's the same element under different motion and pressure conditions. I believe that Sirius used to be a planet when it was here, and the humanoids on there didn't recognize that we don't have a solid core. Everything expands as a sphere, and no sphere in our universe, no bubble has a solid core.
This is what the government shut his phone off. So he couldn't tell us. Oh, the humanoids on the planet that's close to Venus but different in an asteroid belt. Oh, they don't want, because the economy would crumble if they knew this information. Yeah.
We're
Totally.
perceiving it as a solid core, but there's not a solid core there. There's just a bubble. And at CERN, that Hadron Collider, that particle accelerator, I believe they did the same thing, and they popped their planet. And it became that asteroid belt.
Really?
Just take it, if you add up all of the weight of the mass of those of the asteroids in the asteroid belt, it will probably equal the same mass as that of Mars.
I thought the concept of the asteroid belt was, well, first of all, there's the concept of Earth 1 and Earth 2, right? So
Yeah.
Earth 1 was a planet that was hit by a planet, and that's how our moon was established.
When have we seen that happen in nature?
Well, we haven't seen it yet, right? But these things take a long-ass time, and we don't have a whole lot of ability to see things. Our ability to see things, even with the James Webb Telescope, is fairly limited, right? Which is one of the reasons why they're able to find these galaxies that should not have been able to be formed in such a short period of time to the extent that they have, which confuses them if they're looking at this 13.7 billion-year-old universe. These things should be much older.
Right.
In order to be this size, in order to be in the position where they're at. So you believe that the sun is the origin of these planets?
Of all the planets. Every solar
solar system
within its solar system gives birth to all of these other planets. This is what Walter Russell had talked about. This is what Neil deGrasse, and they attacked him for, because he talked about the drift, this natural drift, and that didn't make more sense. And they didn't have the idea of dark matter and dark energy then.
Right.
They didn't even come up with that. And now we understand 4% of the universe is visible.
Right.
And 75% of it, 70% of it is dark energy, and 20-something% of it is dark matter. Unperceivable things, and they say that's because they needed to figure out how would they get the spin and create and have the galaxies.
Why do they
the
hold
spiral
together?
galaxies?
Right.
Well, what my team did.
My team.
Chris Seeley, who's my
This episode is brought to you by
Crash Champions? Oh. Okay.
This episode
is sponsored by ZipRecruiter. Recruit Ziply.
He's my Scotty. We use the same simulator that they use at Princeton, and we took linchpins, and we haven't even introduced linchpins yet, but it'll be a great introduction for it. We took linchpins, this configuration of where
I'll show you linchpins, and I think he's talking about the guy who is the musician slash musician slash scientist with the mustache. This is linchpins. Where is it? There's so many gosh darn websites and things. Here's a different website. Okay, Linchpin by Terrence Howard. Okay, this looks pretty legitimate, like as if he's truly doing something here. Unfortunately, he's not. Gravity is just an effect and not a cause. The rebuilding of Saturn in absence of gravity. What? Patent files. Okay, here's his patents. Ooh. Yee. Okay, so let's see it flying around. Yeah, here is Linchpin. It is, like I said, several drones in a circle and then mixed together, made of plastic, and then apparently they mix together to become stronger, and they're all, and it's gonna pick up a barrel in the middle of the woods. There you go. This is the genius of Terrence Howard. And now it's gonna drop it into this hexagon. Now, is this real? No, this is a simulation. So does it actually work? Is this actually a prototype? No, I don't think so. I mean, it could be, but I don't know. I haven't seen it work yet. Welcome, Jacqueline. Thank you. This is physics-based linchpin flight simulation, a joint effort by Jonathan Davis, KS Flight Technologies, and the Tangential Flight Corporation. Unlocking the potential of unmanned flights. So it's again these hexagon-looking things. And that's it. You can't do anything other than contact them. And apparently it's going to bring up your email, your Outlook. So not much information there. Trash collecting. It can collect trash. Now, once again, this is not a real thing. This is like done in Unreal Engine or something. Flight simulation. Oh, there's some trash. This 5,000 pound machine that probably costs $1 million is going to pick up the glass for us. Oh, thank God. This is saving so much time, so much energy. I'm so glad that Terrence Howard risked his life and limb for this to be created. Okay, let's see. Back to it. I don't got much left in me. Maybe, how long have we been going? 3 hours? Almost 3 hours? I probably got about 10 minutes left of this nonsense. Let's see.
Where 6 pentagons meet, and we put them in
blender,
particular
right,
order.
yeah.
There's a link for that right inside of the thing that James Pellegrini sent over to you. If you'll pull that up, and we rebuilt the planet Saturn without gravity, and it has the rings with no animation. It has the rings and the hexagon that's observed at the very top of it, without dark matter, without dark energy, without gravity, showing that it's an outward force pushing down that creates the planet. If you can pull that up, and he explains it out, it's like 3 minutes long.
And where does the matter come from?
He used, the matter, remember, that's condensation.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to picture, before we watch
it?
Yeah, before we watch it, let me explain something. If you were to picture the waves at the ocean, the darker the waves, the deeper the water, you can't see a distinguishing fact between them until they crash into each other. That splatter, that little foam that comes out, it lasts for a couple seconds, and then it settles back on there, and it's just the balance between this force and this force. That's the physical universe. Those few seconds that it takes that matter, that more dense water, and the foam to recoalesce and get balanced again with the surrounding environment. That's the entire time that our universe, or all these universes, have worked together. But if you play this,
looks like spaghetti.
This is at the very beginning of my book. That's why I went on that at the Emmys, and I was like, look, I've got something else to do. I've been able to rebuild Saturn without gravity, with no animation, and then they clowned it.
Of course they did.
clowned
Well, this
it.
is not something that you could say in a soundbite, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. This is
And you know why they're clowning you, because it's a joke. It's a total joke. That's why it's a joke. People laugh at jokes. You're at the Emmys to accept an award for being an actor, and you're talking about Saturn gravity. They're concerned for you, probably. Or maybe they're not, and they just think it's insane, like I do.
This is not something like your explanation of these things and your description of the very nature of reality itself is not something that should be taken lightly.
No.
It's something that, like,
thank you for saying that.
it needs to be laid out, and it needs to be slowly examined in every, because you've obviously spent a lot of time working on this. This thing here.
It does not. It does not need to be thorough. I mean, it can be examined, but should an actual scientist who's working on actual things take the time to go, this is just a lack of understanding about the fundamentals of our universe? That's what this is. And it's pretty clear to see quickly. Like, again, feeding into the delusion of this is wrong. It's unethical, in my opinion.
Thing here. So play this, Jamie.
Play it. And this is us.
What, Jamie?
Just to clarify what I'm going to play.
Yeah,
there's
and turn it
well,
up.
Hold on.
Yeah,
There's two
you-
different videos. One's long, one's short.
No, this is going to be the short one.
Okay.
At
My
the,
computer just reset itself too because all
Okay.
these files freaked it out.
oh, yeah.
Government, man.
I don't know. I was about
Well,
to tell
they
you.
It's
don't-
Neil deGrasse Tyson. He
They
knows
almost
where
had
your
to stop.
They do
computer's
not
sitting.
video. It'll be the first one.
This one, correct? Gravity.
Gravity is an effect.
Okay.
Is an effect
So
of
this is-
electricity. So
Okay.
turn it up, so because
Yeah.
Chris does a full narration of it. He's,
Oh, it's still. Hold on. My computer's still.
and
doing
he
stuff.
was talking to my wife and explaining to her what he had worked on, and it was. This is 6 years ago, I think, or maybe 5 years ago. But as soon as it allows you to,
Let's see.
The center.
yeah, rewind it just a little bit.
Object.
Yep,
Okay, here we go.
it's just 3
I
minutes
have
long.
two groups of vortexes, which are just like tornadoes. Spinning tornadoes that are pointing towards the center. As I highlight this object here, you'll see it, that yellow line. Right, so there's a bunch of those in there.
Oops, sorry.
There's actually 16 of them, and I'll highlight them
Oh,
all.
hold on. It's not doing anything. See,
No, it's about to happen.
No,
It'll
nothing's
come in.
happening. My computer just froze again. Is what I'm trying to say. Something freaked out my computer. I might have to just try to.
You want to reboot?
I mean, I think it already did, but I'll try again. Hold on. May have to pause.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, that's what it should be doing. But it's going to basically, you'll see.
Oh wait, that's weird. I have. I can,
What's the matter?
what I can see on that screen is not what I can see on my computer screen.
It's the fucking government, man.
You think it's not?
I think it is sometimes. I assume they listen to everything I say.
They do.
I'm sure.
They do. You
It's a
took
lot of boring shit.
you took a bold stand though years ago when the government.
You run a podcast, Joe Rogan. That's the whole business model that you have chosen to become a part of. They listen to everything I say on my 17 hours a day of my recording. Yeah, apparently millions of other people do too, unfortunately for humanity. Now let's just get into the COVID stuff. Let's just get into the, denials about all of this, and I'm sure that's coming next. Here we go.
Governments were trying to poison their citizens. You took a very bold stand that nobody else took. That's what I was like.
Yeah,
wow,
no one else
I
took.
appreciate you because I
Okay.
lost 3-4 jobs because I refused to take it. I refused.
Terrance, you didn't lose 3 or 4 jobs for refusing to take it. I think you're just a little bit over your prime, perhaps. I think people don't want to touch you right now because you're insane.
Refused.
I bet you feel better about it now.
Well,
especially when you know all these people that have health problems because of it.
cancers have increased 300%.
All-cause mortality up 40% in some age groups.
Pulmonary embolisms almost up like 500%.
Yeah, I wonder what caused
Thrombosis.
that.
Well, the
Crazy.
spike proteins that's being built and collected within the system. We can
Yeah.
go into. I have a.
Yeah, we got 2 experts here, medical experts here. showing us the way of humans and the vaccine. It's like they stick to this point and they pull data out of their ass, like, oh yes, this is up and this, but then when it was going on and people were saying, oh, the percentages of dying from the COVID, it was like, they're overblowing these numbers, this is bullshit. Okay, you could debate that, whatever, but like when it was for their cause, they were all into like, oh, the numbers are exaggerated, let us go back to our businesses. And now it's like, did you know 300% more, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, okay, so they're using the statistics when it's, useful. I'm just so sick of these people talking about this. Like, anytime someone dies from anything, it's like, they got vaccinated. It's like, ugh, so stupid. If you don't want to take it, I disagree with that, but fine, whatever. We got through the pandemic. 60% of Americans did it. We got through it. And thank goodness for them, because it seemed to help matters of the entire population. I don't care. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't want to hear about it at all ever again. I could give a fuck less. I'm so sick of hearing this, like, oh, I bet you are super proud of yourself now. It's like, yeah, super proud of yourself. Maybe not taking it has degraded your brain matter. I don't know. This is annoying to me. I'm so sick of it.
I can walk you through what the spike protein did to the BRCA1 gene. That's that gene inside of our DNA that tells us that there's damage that's happening, almost like the crews that go along the highway and they immediately put up cones every time there's a problem. Well, the spike protein, which is no protein has ever been able to enter into the nucleus of a cell. Not only does it go to the ribosomes and say, hey, you know what? I don't want you to produce whatever protein, like if it was a skin cell, you're not going to produce keratin anymore. You're just going to produce these spike proteins. That spike protein went into the DNA and it tells the BRCA1 gene, turn off. And that's the gene that says, hey, there's a mutation here. Let's scrap that thing. And so now the cancers are building up. The spike proteins weren't shedding from the body. They collected in the ovaries. They collected in the lymph nodes. They collected in the bone marrow. So now we have all of these diseases that's showing themselves because the body is overwhelmed trying to deal with it.
Podcasts are going to be the death of society. Like the fact, again, that this is like the number 1, number 2 maybe now podcast in America and beyond. The fact that these people get on here and confidently spew just nonsense constantly every single day with no repercussions, nothing happens to them. This garbage just gets replayed and reworked, and it's like it cannot be good long term. Speaking of long-term effects, people with confidence speaking about things they do not get, they do not understand, but they are being manipulated by an agenda somewhere to believe this and then spew it out, and that somehow they're righteous for feeling this way. It cannot be good for us as connecting. Like, I want to connect with other people so badly. I think unity is a great thing to aspire to, and this stuff just polarizes me from anyone who thinks this way, because it's like so unhealthy, and they just want to shove it down your throat how stupid you are for trying to, in my opinion, do the right thing and try to help yourself and help the collective by getting the fucking scientifically tested vaccine. Like, they feel so good about themselves for not doing it, and it's like, that's the part that bothers me. Don't take it, I don't care. Like, it does not matter at this point, but they feel so good about their decision, and that's what I don't like. It's like, get over yourself, dude.
Deal with the spike protein that's attaching itself to the ACE2 and the endothelial cells in our vascular system for everybody out there.
And the more boosters you get,
boom,
the
you're
worse
turning your
outcomes are
system
gonna be.
off. You're turning it off. Your body cannot defend itself, and it's just collecting.
But it also showed me the bizarre state of human psychology, that people, if you're presented with what could be a potential solution, you want to believe in it so bad that you're willing to defend these companies that have been the most deceptive companies, proven deceptive, not just deceptive, but deceptive in the way that they are allowed to distribute information. They're allowed to not be transparent about their studies. They could have multiple studies that show a negative cause or a negative effect, and they don't have to release those studies.
Why?
Because they're bought and sold.
But I think it's an agenda to it.
You think so?
I think it's an agenda attached to it because
what?
What's
the agenda?
Restricted any natural thing like ivermectin. Iver means like
ivermectin.
It caused.
Everyone, it's 2024. It's 2024, and we're still talking about ivermectin. Okay, that's how far we have not come. We are stuck in. The Mayan calendar should have ended in 2020 because that's when our brain stopped developing. I'm convinced of it. We never move past 2020. We will stay in this era forever. We will be debating ivermectin till the day we all die.
Ivermectin. Mectin, for the Latin of it, it was worms, and it was anti-worms. And what the ivermectin does, it causes the worms to have paralysis, or parasites to have paralysis, because it stops their information from passing. And there's these things called the nodes of Ranvier between each neuron. There's an axion, and there's the axion, and oh my God, I just forgot the leg that comes off of dendrites. Those dendrites and the axions have these things called nodes of Ranvier, where they're not allowed to touch each other, and it transfers potassium and chlorine back and forth to each other. Potassium, chlorine.
If we want to talk about conspiracy theories, let's talk about how this stream, where I'm trying to debunk everything he's saying by just saying this makes no sense, got shut off twice. The stream got suspended for violations. I think the government is out to get me. Okay? I think this is run on all the platforms with no interruptions and actually paid ads in between. And my little old stream, I now have to go back and dispute it and beg YouTube to give me $10. You know, it's so silly. It's so silly that they think they're the victims when they have so much exposure. It's crazy.
Chloride and hydrogen back and forth. Well, in the worm, the ivermectin stops that to where the worms become paralyzed. So it was an immediate defense against the pathogen, but they immediately shut that down and wouldn't allow anybody to use it.
They showed that it stops viral replication
completely
in vitro.
Completely.
Yeah, they know that they know that there's a mechanism involved, and they try to pretend. And then they also try to pretend it's dangerous, which is insane. And they even got Rolling Stone magazine on board with it, where they printed an article where they were showing these people that were waiting in line for gunshot victims because so many people were overdosing on horse dewormer.
Yeah, well, that was propaganda.
It was a full-on lie. Not only that, they were so stupid and clumsy about it that the image that they used, this is Oklahoma. The image that they used was like in the summer in Oklahoma, and yet everybody's dressed in winter coats. It was retarded. The whole thing was so stupid, but so obviously coordinated.
Lord.
It was confusing.
Coordinated by who, Joe Rogan? By who? Again, do you think you or Rolling Stone has more connections in the media landscape? You do. You are part of the media elite, Joe Rogan. I don't know what world you live in. What is Rolling Stone? Who are they in cahoots with? Who? The ivermectin company? Pfizer? Who do you think is doing that? It just doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. And that's not just him and them. He's one of the big proponents of it, and where I really got turned off by his content completely. I can't even listen to it because it's so insane. But you are part of the highest level of influence in the entire country, yet you think that a reporter at Rolling Stone is going to go and secretly try to manipulate and sneak it's you're so off base. You are the one spewing the misinformation.
confusing to me how many people were willing to go along with it and how many people were angry at people who didn't go along with it regardless of what they were saying. Even if what they were saying was reasonable, even if what they're saying, especially if you're talking about like Jay Bhattacharya and these people that were professors at esteemed universities, and they were being silenced, and there was a coordinated effort to remove their posts from Twitter. This is wild shit.
Yeah.
Unprecedented wild shit. And the population was just going along with it. For me, what was fascinating was psychologically. Like, do you guys not know about deception? Do you not know about profit motive? Do you not know about the history of pharmaceutical drug companies in this country and what they've been able to get away with how many people they've paid?
The Tuskegee experiment.
Oh, my God.
I couldn't understand how black people or people of color were running and trusting the government after what happened to them with the Tuskegee experiment. And for people that don't.
Again, like, okay, you don't trust the government. These two don't trust the government. Okay, you live in the United States. I'm assuming they pay their taxes, but I would check on that. But you live here, you work here, you have your businesses here. I just like, again, you are at the top levels of this country. You probably are closer to any politician than any of us at all will ever be. And yet they think they're the victims of this all. It's so crazy. And the fact that they get so into like, oh no, this study and that study and this, they cherry pick the information, they ignore huge things, and they think it's all a conspiracy. I'm just so annoyed by it. It's such I just can't roll my eyes. It's like, give it up already. We're done with it.
For people that don't know what the Tuskegee experiment was, in the early 1920s.
Yeah, true.
A group of government officials came down, doctors, and they went through the black community and they said, there's a sickness in all of you guys and we're going to cure it free of charge. And they injected the black population with syphilis and left it untreated for 60 years and just watched how it ravaged the body. For 60 years, it wasn't stopped until like 1970s, late 70s, that they stopped the experiment. And I don't even know if they've paid reparations. So the government has been using all of these chemical warfare or biological warfare against its own citizens for a long time.
Constantly. There's so many instances of it.
So that's why I didn't do it.
There's so many instances of it, documented instances of it. And that's the Tuskegee experience, one of the most horrific. And the fact that it went on until the 70s is just fucking terrifying.
But the fact that we know about that, like, it wasn't like someone uncovered that in like some secret documents on a podcast. It wasn't like Terrence Howard revealed that. It came out over time. And I'm not trying to justify or defend that in any way, because I do believe that that's true. But it comes out the way that all these things come out in documentation and classified information. It comes out. So it's like, do you not trust the government, or do you? Because that came like out from the government's own paperwork that they were doing that in the 70s. So do you think that's a lie, that they did the experiments because it's coming from the same source that you say is untrustworthy? I don't know. Okay, I'm almost done with this. Let's get through the COVID part and then we'll wrap up.
Fine. But this is just the nature of having that much secrecy and control and profit motive and being able to enforce power on people. And it's a thing that human beings have always done. Whenever human beings have gotten into a position where they're ruling over others, they are callous and evil, almost always, almost universally. There's not one instance of this amazing, benign, beautiful leader that transformed their society into this incredible utopia. It doesn't exist in history.
No. Animals and insects, not one of them are responsible for the eradication of any species on this planet.
Right.
Not one single creature from history, but mankind is responsible for the extinction of millions.
Even when animals are responsible for the extinction, it's because human beings introduced those animals into places where they didn't belong, like cats in Australia.
All the birds.
Yeah, they killed everything.
Also, this part always gets me confused. Like, as someone, I don't know about Terrance, but I'm assuming Joe Rogan tends to be like a pro-America person. Like, oh, I love being American. I'm proud. People aren't proud enough of being American. Like, we need to have more, pride in our country, and people who don't like it here should go to a different country. Like, that's kind of the vibe I get from him nowadays. And it's so interesting to me that you can have that perspective and then also damn the entirety of humanity at the same time and go, humans are horrible, horrible. We've done all this damage, which I don't disagree with. But how can you say, no, we need to be pro-America and not look at this history and ignore it and make sure, like, all the critical race stuff, like his take on that, from what I understand, was like, oh, it's so stupid. We do need to eradicate it from the schools and blah, 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 blah. So it's so contradictory. I can't even follow it. Hypocritical takes, like, we love America and you should be proud of being American, but you should hate yourself as a human being, and all animals are fine but humans are the ones that are bad. It's like, how am I supposed to think about that? It doesn't make sense to me. But they'll just go back and forth as whether they're like, whatever string that they're on today, whatever thread they're pulling, they'll just go to that. I don't know. Sorry. Okay, I'm going off the rails as well.
So this is man's interference, and it's based upon their lack of understanding. Because they don't know how the universe truly works.
Neither do you,
because their
Terrance.
math has been off for so long, because their fundamentals are wrong. Now everything has this expiration and there's a loss to everything when the universe is perfectly balanced, when you utilize it properly. And that's why I wanted to introduce the wave conjugations and the mirror shapes and all of these things, defining the electric field, defining the magnetic field, and the constitution between them being the linchpin. Because the linchpin, as you'll see in a second, it has that same center as that Tetrian space.
He's like, my drone animation is going to save the entire world. Okay, so now we've come back full circle. This is the perfect time to... He's bringing it back. He's like, enough with COVID. Joe Rogan's getting too far off the point. He's going too far off the deep end, trying to get his own agenda. If you think that the government has an agenda, which they do, but you don't have an agenda on this podcast, then there's a problem. Again, it's like calling the kettle black. I'm so bad at like sayings. I never know. It's like, fool. I'm like George Bush. Like, I can never remember a saying to save my life. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on... Can't fool me again. That's how I am with sayings. But yeah, it's like, you also have an agenda. I think that's human nature, and I'm not defending either side, but it's like, maybe it's just not you versus them. Maybe they are in the same predicament as you are, which is you get a little power, you get a little influence, and you want to push people to believe what you believe because that's what makes human beings more comfortable, to be around people who are like them for whatever reason. That makes us feel warm and fuzzy, and so anything different scares us as human beings, and we repel it if we can. That's why I think we should try to expand and see other perspectives, and but within reason. I'm not gonna hear this guy shove bullshit down my throat and go, good perspective, like Joe Rogan is, because he doesn't believe it himself. He knows it's garbage, and yet he's allowing it to be taken as legitimate theories. Because 1 × 1 = 2. And there you have it. The thing is, like, okay, also too, like what he's saying at the end there, he's like, well, the whole reason that, they don't want us, who is they, don't want us to take ivermectin is because they don't have the fundamentals of mathematics correct. I wanted to define the magnetic poles, and I wanted to define the balance of harmonies. It's like, what does that look like in humanity? Let's say we gave Terrence Howard $1 trillion to be able to do whatever he wanted. $1 trillion. No one has ever used $1 trillion, I don't think, for one project. So we say, Terrence Howard, we believe in you. Do it. What would he do with that money? He would make a Blender animation of hexagons moving in a circle and then just go on people's podcasts and sell stuff on Instagram. He doesn't have a plan as to any of this stuff, how it affects anything. Oh, humanity. So let's say he proves that 1 × 1 = 2. Then what? once again, I've asked this question before on this channel. Do we have restaurants anymore? What's the banking system like? Do I have healthcare? Like, how does humanity change in any way? How should it change? Logistically, should we wake up in the morning and go to a job? Are cars good for the world anymore? Like, should we all walk? What should we do now with this new information? It's never addressed. It's like, oh, people just want to silence me and don't want the truth to get out. The truth gets out a million ways, and then they do nothing. It's like, okay, cool. I guess all of this is just because you want more attention. I don't know. Anyways, I am rambling incessantly myself. Apologies. Well, that was fun. I think, yes, my plan is to do a video. Okay, so everyone that's here, how many people are here? 221? Thank you. You guys are in the exclusive club. Do you want to hear something insane that I came across? I'm working on the video. I swear I've been working on it for like weeks and weeks and weeks, but not every day. Just been working on it like in the background of my other oh, thank you, Beach Rando. Beach Rando says, here's a start towards the $1 billion. We need more because I said trillion. Okay, Beach Rando, we need 1 trillion. So I need 2017 more super chats to get there. I'm just kidding. Thank you very much. And for that, I say, a. Remember Scentbird, our bestie at Scentbird, Maria, who is the CEO and founder of Scentbird, who, you know, many people on YouTube are sponsored by, including people I really like on YouTube and find their content very good, and that they're very, you know, critical thinking skills are good. You want to hear your girl say the craziest shit you'll ever hear? I was watching some of her YouTube videos, and I came across one that will shock you. And it's going to be a part of the edited video. But I'm going to give you a sneak peek because it is just that good. Okay, you ready? Okay, so a little background. This is, again, exclusive, off-the-cuff intro preview. There she is, Maria. So she does these channelings, right? She closes her eyes and she believes that because her eyes are closed, that it's not her speaking. Technically, it is her highest self. So it's her, but it's her on a higher plane of consciousness above everybody else. So she can deliver the information of the universe. Very similar to Terrence Howard. Okay, so, and this is her husband, who is also the co-founder and CTO, I think he's CTO, of Scentbird as well. So, you want to be offended? This is the time to be offended. Trigger warning, anti-Semitic, very anti-Semitic content. Okay, coming your way. This is a Q&A. The boyfriend, husband, whatever he is, husband is asking her these questions, who apparently have come from her, you know, comment section, and she's going to answer the question, can a higher self be evil? Okay, this is at the end of a random video. Here we go.
Can a higher self be evil? How does a higher self guide an incarnation who meant to enact evil?
I have a hard time answering the question about evil because there is such a big gap between how humanity perceives good versus evil and how, you know, even beings in the seventh dimension perceive good and evil, let alone how the higher self perceives good and evil, let alone how source consciousness perceives good and evil. From the perspective of source, everything is an experience. From the perspective of your higher self, everything is a learning opportunity. So they're not so quick at putting a label on a happening, an event, or a circumstance. In fact, so like they don't like putting the word evil on things. And they don't even perceive that as such. In other words, being murdered by someone and murdering somebody from a perspective of the higher self could be considered all good, right? Depending on the intention. And here is where the core crux of this issue lies. Let's say you're, and again, not stepping back, let's say your higher self wants to understand murder. It's just a fascinating subject for your higher self. If it wants to understand murder, it's going to have to come and incarnate many, many times over. And it wants to experience it from every angle. So your higher self may choose to come as a victim, as the mother of the victim, as the father of the victim, as the teacher of the victim, as the murderer, as the mother of the murderer, yada, 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 yada. As the mayor of the city where the murder happened, as the police head of the police department that was investigating the murder.
We're getting
cetera,
there,
et cetera.
I promise.
The judge who was judging the person who committed the murder. And then it's not going to stop from there, right? So let's say it took all of those experiences and feels like it understands murder a little bit better. Then it's going to want to experience murder to a higher degree. For example, well, I know what it feels like to kill one person. What does it feel like to kill 30 people? What does it feel like to kill 100,000? You know what I mean? And is it evil? Not if your intention is to understand murder. Because by the virtue of you understanding murder, you are sharing that learning and you're uploading it up to the Akashic records where everybody else can learn from it. And that is a very important distinction to make. Because at one point, somebody has to be the soul that is going to get the learning of what it feels like for the rest of existence and for the rest of the higher selves and, for source itself, right? So somebody has to take one for the team, so to say, and learn. And that is how you may get like a mass murderer or somebody who starts a world war, or somebody who, blows up a nuke and kills, demolishes a whole city, right? That is one way that you can get there. In this particular instance, right? Again, the intention of your higher self is learning. However, where this becomes problematic, and again, I have a very hard time assigning a label evil to anything below the third dimension. Let's just call it what it is. Because that good versus evil kind of only exists here and below. One thing where this can become a little tricky is this. Let's say your higher self intends to heal people. Healing is its thing that it wants to do. But let's say it descends into this incarnation, gets into the veil of forgetfulness, and instead of healing people, it starts murdering people. Just, for whatever reason. Maybe because there is some drama in the childhood, maybe because they saw a movie where somebody murdered somebody, thought it was cool, so they essentially went off the bandwagon. This is treated a little bit differently because the intention was 1, like X, and the outcome was Y, right? That is still, by the way, not considered evil. It's just considered suboptimal because it wasn't planned. Now, is that still a learning? Yes. Ultimately, is it still good to learn? Absolutely. However, that is where you get splits at higher self level, right? Because your higher self remembers that it wanted to be a healer, and then it has an aspect of itself that comes back and it's a murderer. And your higher self is like, whoa, what do I do with this? And that's where they create a split or a shadow, right? And then some higher selves may even start perceiving that aspect that they split as evil just because they cannot process it. But is that aspect evil? Not from source perspective, it's not.
So interesting. So
and evil is just a matter of perspective. What's good for one person is evil for another person.
Here it is.
And by the way, like, look at Hitler. He's one of the poster children for like being an evil person. Do you know how many millions of souls benefited from learning from the experience that he has created? So here you may put, you know, like, look at a character like him and be like, oh, he's completely evil. And upstairs, his experience was the greatest, one of the greater, you know, sources of knowledge of, you know, of 3D planet Earth warfare. And that is benefiting so many different souls in on their evolutionary path. So is he evil? Not really. I don't think so.
So interesting. So just
so
it
interesting.
means that some higher
So interesting. There you go. That is it. That is the Horcrux of this video. So that will be coming to you soon with more context of all of her madness. But I came across that video and I was like, she's not going to say what I think she's going to say. She's not leading ultimately to this perspective. And then we did. Hitler benefited millions of souls. Okay, well, that is something. I don't know. I don't want to who knows how videos do? I have no clue. But I think if most people heard her say that, and I hope that this video that gets out will reach people that are like, you know, I don't want to make people feel bad for taking a Scentbird sponsorship. Like, it's not my intention, but I think if people heard her say that, I think Scentbird would like be shut down. Honestly, I think she would lose her job at Scentbird. The board or whatever would kick her out. She'd be done. Like, I don't think you can say that as a CEO of a successful, you know, startup company and get away with it. And it's just like, because it's on YouTube, because it's on a different channel, like, I don't think people are necessarily paying attention. So I think that it could, if it does get some traction, which I hope it does, from the video or from anywhere, from this, from whatever, I think she might be in big trouble, to be honest, because I think that's her, that statement's, and I have it recorded, so if she deletes it, I still have it, but that statement that she just made there is like blatantly horrendous. So anyways, Beach Rando, thank you so much. Beach Rando says, now we're doing rando math problems. We're always doing random math problems on this channel. Always. That is what this channel is all about. Random math problems. And for that I say, random math problem. Thank you so much. And Anna Karina 2.0 chose an upside down face. Yeah. That's one way to say it. That's one way to say it. Yikes. Yikes stripes. Beach not gum. Okay. Well, that is what I have for you today. What a way to end the stream. We had a lot of craziness, and yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Dab Duba. I appreciate it. I'm going back to Florida on Saturday, so I will probably not go live again till next week, but I intend to work on videos, go live more. Oh, also, this is just a little side of personal news. I got a promotion at work. It's coming out. Hasn't officially been announced at work yet, but pretty much the core people know. So I've just been doing a lot of that stuff. That's why I've been really, really busy. And also that I've been out of town and just trying to make this new transition into my new position at work go smoothly. So I know I always say this, but like once this hump is over and I can settle into my new job, then I should have more time to dedicate to YouTube. So I appreciate you sticking around, coming back when I take little breaks. And yeah, thank you. I know I posted videos recently, but they've been like cuts of the streams. But they are very funny. And if you haven't watched them, my editor, who's helping me kind of get through some of this content during this busy time and hopefully beyond, he is so funny, and he made a lot of funny jokes in the edits recently. So that's the financial audit. I can show you real quick if you are interested. They're shorter, so if you don't have 4 hours to kill, like you guys here, and you have, you're a little bit busy. I need to add it. It is 2 new ones. I need to add it to the playlist. This one, Pure Chaos, and then this one about the $5,000 retreat where the guru gets ass up on the stage for you. And you're supposed to tell your boss that it's good for business to go to this conference. So shout out Logan. Woo, woo, woo. Shout out Logan. He's really funny. All right. Time to sing my song and hit the hay. Peace out, everybody. See you next time. One times one is not 2, it's 1. Starry nights, do you know math? You plus me equals. We should smash. Totally kidding about that. Nicole Campbell, don't cause a scandal. You are the star of your empire, a consul. I think you are a hexagon, and there is no gravity in this world that could keep me away from Lisa B. There is no ivermectin that Alaska Blood Tundra could give to me that would make Anne turn off the stream and go, damn, she sucks now. Tells Marie. I just want you to see that the universe is all wrong. I alone have the truth. Carasoto knows. You just have to listen closely and read my book. That's 700 pages. El Cholo's kid loves going to rages. I tried to combine rave with rage. It didn't work. It didn't work. Heather Hope, nope. It didn't work. The universe is dope. Ope. Heather DeMaio. You make me smile when I think about the math that we're gonna have to do. Because 1 + 1 equals blue. Danae. The hurts of your name make me go insane. Lillian Massey. Do you know Helga Pataki, I meant from Hey Arnold. Football head. Cheech. Can you be my friend instead? Casual pasta. You make me wanna sing faster and faster. Philly turned Texan. I know you've been Lexin and flexin' at the gym. Mary, I have to say something on a whim. And Jorbin, you've been affording to be here for so long. Thank you. In acapella, one more name, Rebecca J. Kelly, author. You are on the list next to Terror with the Hat, 'cause you can't be missed. Choose sadness every day, and then go into the barn and roll in the hay. Okay, baby, it's time to go to sleep and say thank you to Starry Nights for the gifted memberships. Woo, woo, woo! We appreciate it so much. A special extra shout out to you. Boo. Doody doody doo. Looly looly loo. La 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 la. And poo 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 poo. Okay, goodbye. Good night. Thank you.